distance, the thin line that separates your shadows from my soul. As these walls begin to fold, head lost in the silence, cold stars illuminate the secrets on your tongue and the poison in my lungs. Every passage ends, a new road begins. The further I descend, your labyrinth. Blind eyes in the darkness, frail hands reaching out, sword echoes in the smoke as the doors behind me close. No cure for the madness, each turn tangled in the fear of losing sight of the slowly fading light. Labyrinth.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the grand final stage for the EON League Season 4. We are at the home stretch after all the teams have fought tooth and nail to get to this point of the game. It is going to be Pannuhuone going up against Make Your Destiny, a revenge story for the side of Pannuhuone because they were the ones being sent down over to that lower bracket run where MYD really did do a number on them. But Pannuhuone clawed their way back in, built their storyline, and they are now here to make sure that they carry the energy from Plunderstruck all the way up till the very end. But now we're going to be jumping straight on down over into our casters. It is going to be Presto and Blackjack to bring you the storyline and to walk you through this entire game. Take it away, boys.
All right. Thank you so much for that introduction, Aggressive As. Of course, I'm your host, Blackjack, and joining me is Creston Sets as we are here for EON League Season 4 Grand Finals. I'll tell you what, lower bracket revenge stories, you gotta love them. Isn't that right, Cresto?
Absolutely. Not to mention, they actually have played before as well, so the rivalry is going to be sparking in quite a lot of fashion. So it depends which team is going to have the vengeful ending over here. Is it going to be MYD keeping up the tradition, or is it going to be Pannuhuone taking it to themselves and making it a Cinderella story, man? Because I mean, truth be told, these teams they really go neck to neck to some certain distances. But unfortunately for Pannuhuone, on the grand final, or I think it was a grand final of the upper bracket where they kind of fell short and they had to play an extra game against Team Plunderstruck yesterday.
Absolutely. And given the fact that they have found themselves back on this grand finals here and now, well, let's just say this is a tournament run that they absolutely do not want to lose. It's a best of 5, it's a grand finals, and Pannuhuone are going to play to their strengths, to their heart's content. But of course, you have on the other side Make Your Destiny, who did make the upper bracket run. They are the ones who sent Pannuhuone down to the lower bracket, and they'll be looking to get that first place once again. Will they be able to do it? We will find out here and now as we have a look at the maps that are being played today, folks. Here you can see Nighthaven Labs, Skyscraper, Lair, Consulate, and Clubhouse, with the first one being Nighthaven Labs.
Well, truth be told, all of these maps are some maps we have seen before from both of these teams, especially Nighthaven Labs and Skyscraper. I kind of want to believe that Nighthaven Labs is a map which both of the teams feel extremely comfortable on, so that's why they're opting to pick that, followed up by the decider map, which is Clubhouse. But what I'm really interested is the play of Lair and Consulate, because I don't know about Consulate, but Lair is the first time we're actually getting to see Lair in the equation, and from the looks of it, it is Pannuhuone who picked it as well. So what does Pannuhuone have and what are they hiding in the map of Lair? So if the side of MYD is not ready for it, they may not be able to make their destiny. But then again, it is undoubted that this map will be in the play because it is a best of 5, and the first team who takes the first, if any teams happens to take 3 maps back to back, we won't need the remainder of the maps. But at least Lair is going to be something which is confirmed to see in action. So a lot of factors which will be coming in handy, a lot of factors which will be played out throughout the entire series here. But I want to really know if the side of Pannuhuone studied their opposition, because again, the side of MYD, they actually have been picked up by roster within this tournament. They used to be called RPT is back. So they are of course showing worth that they are worthy of the organization, but in the long run, I'm kind of damn sure that the side of Pannuhuone also wants to flex that they're also deserving of it. And maybe this is the biggest opportunity they're gonna have to overthrow an opposition who are already under an organization. But regardless, we're gonna be heading into Nighthaven Labs. Which team is gonna have the upper hand here?
Here we have the first bands coming in for the map for the night. It is Kaid and Montaigne to start us off. Pretty expected, all things considered. And of course, that Montaigne ban definitely feels like something that might have been the result of a little bit of homework being done from the side of Make Your Destiny. As we have the second bands coming in, it's going to be Ace and Bandit. So no more electrification on this map. That, of course, we've seen this before when it comes to Nighthaven. Electrification is extremely, extremely important, whether it's hatches, whether it's walls, breaches, whatever have you. But that does leave the Mira in play, who will be picked up right there from an Arctic. And that is going to get us started onto round number 1 as well, going straight to the second floor site, command center and servers. And boy howdy, Make Your Destiny. They may have been picked up, but they have yet to prove themselves. At least that's what they'll be thinking Meanwhile, Pannuhuone, just like you said, Cresto, they are right now thinking how they can show the fact that they too are more than deserving of making a organizational run.
Absolutely. But what I do want to point out over here is both of the teams are extremely exceptional when it comes to playing shields. So the Monty ban doesn't surprise me whatsoever, but at the same time, there's still Blitz and Blackbeard available to the attacking side. And guess what? Blackbeard is already in the play. And again, I'm damn sure that on the second half, one of his shields from the defensive on the attacking side will be banned by the defenders, and their bans probably will remain identical on the second half as well. Because regardless of what shields you ban, the opposition will just try their level best to catch up, and I'm damn sure eventually we'll get to see a clash as well from the defensive side. But for now, the attackers, they're opting to take a kind of a default approach probably onto the IT wall, and eventually making their way onto the panopticons and then maybe connectors. I do see the thermite. I did see an A. Oh, never mind. Ace is banned, so that's not going to be the biggest factor here. But maybe with the striker available, they have more flexibilities to open things up with the can openers. But from the looks of it, they have taken control of control room very quickly, as the mirror window has already been taken out.
And that already is huge, right? That mirror window was pretty much looking to hold down waiting room as hard as possible. But with the Ash Charge coming in and blinding that mirror, essentially speaking, on that part of the map, you now have to pretty much face check it if you are sure that there are players in that vicinity. The wall into that room is also going to be broken open, and we have ourselves Connector being pushed into. Thermite's in, pushed Diamond, going to get that breach onto the main site wall. Done and dusted as well, along with, I believe, secondary heartbreak charges from the striker who came in, actually from the Grim, I should say, who came in and opened up IT wall. So we've got both breaches done very quickly into the round. They've got 1:40 remaining, tons of time to just sit back, chill out, and give themselves as much information via drones as possible right now. They've got Rastin on the Blackbeard as well, so of course you have a lot of cover to work with, and looks like Blackbeard himself is actually going to reposition out towards the warehouse.
Good
catwalk.
jump.
There we go. He's already in here, and he's going to blind the Mira as well. That's going to take Mira almost entirely out of the equation. The windows, that is to say, as the shots are being fired. You've got Grimm's bees coming out, giving them as much intel as possible. But the first kill is actually going to be against Rastin, and the Goyo canister is going to catch one as well. Meanwhile, Fenrir put onto the floor. He's going to get confirmed onto, but that is one body for the sake of two with 50 seconds remaining.
Absolutely, and now with the disadvantage they have, they'll have to act quickly as well, because all the control they had onto the catwalks is completely gone. They're trying to reestablish it onto the catwalk once again, but looks like the Mira has some of the answers to it, even though I don't think, the player is down after all, thanks to the Melusi. But now, Thermite is pretty much stuck in the middle of an island here. There's not much he can do. He does have the diffuser, but there's a lot of pressure for him to take on 1v1. The Grim Iflat is still giving him a pain. Now finally he's gonna find his vision back. But with 30 seconds left on the clock, what is he gonna do? This vertical angles as well will finally find some damages, but no downs yet. The handgun's gonna come out. He needs to connect the shots, and unfortunately, it is gonna be the Vectors, which is gonna be coming out burst firing. And in the end, it is gonna be the side of MYD keeping themselves together, even though hell broke loose onto them. Pannuhuone, really good attempt, but it kind of felt like when it came to the timing, he just couldn't find the proper opening there. Then again, it's not something which was a mistake from their end. They just needs to adapt on the fly, understanding how MYD runs the clock down.
Absolutely. Make Your Destiny playing it to their strengths right there. They did not overpeak. They did not overextend. There was absolutely zero face checking from them, because they knew that the entire game plan of Pannuhuone was dependent on shutting down those mirror windows, getting space, getting control, and kind of pushing them into a fish in a barrel situation. And they played around that almost perfectly, especially with the Melusi down below, going for the flank up warehouse stairs, giving them that element of surprise as well on that flank. Well done just overall from the Make Your Destiny side of the defense here, as we now move to the first floor side, control room and storage coming in from the defensive team. We've got ourselves a couple of changes as well here. We've got Warden coming in, shotgun and SMG 12 in hand, Mira back in the play, Azami continuing to be the menace that she is, of course, and Elysian coming in from that side as well. Of course, those goo mines, ever so elusive and ever so annoying to deal with. And that's exactly why that shielder there, Punished Diamond, or Push Diamond, I should say, is going to have to be careful about this, because that Blitz, as we all know, loves to play forward positions.
Absolutely. But I do love how all the attack defensive side are having shotguns. Even the person who doesn't have a shotgun has a deagle, which gives you at least some form of distractions. And that's an indication that the players of MYD is trying to make sure that they have the long, as much as angles as they can, where the attackers are not going to be paying attention. Not to mention the amount of vertical angles they have from IT as well. Making sure the attackers will have to burn some utilities onto the IT side. And guess what? They're going to find the opening crack onto ADM. Not something the Warden was expecting, but regardless, that is indeed a good opening. But now the players understand there's a heavy presence of the defenders on the top floor. So maybe, just maybe, if they can take control of storage side, they're going to find success. But from the looks of it, the Legion is reading that properly. The Deimos is on the hunt now. The Hunter may become hunted, as Deimos is going to be connecting some shots, but it's going to be the Legion who's going to be on the receiving end. It looks like we have already made contact inside the objective. The Blitz is inside. The plant has gone down as well. While there was a player holding onto storage, and now on a post line, the defenders, they're scratching their heads like, what the hell just happened?
With the Deimos now hunting down Azami as well. Shots fired from below. Lambe comes in and Nika with the other. And it's all just falling apart. Flawless round for the side of the attack here. Pannuhuone beautifully done on this round. A flawless from them. 0 bodies dropped. You gotta give credit where credit is due. The basement presence was so beautifully orchestrated for them, especially with the Deimos just being a nuisance from down below, getting the death marks, getting the tracks, getting the intel that is so very important for that attacking team. Well done indeed, and that's going to equalize it 1-1 in the early game. We move on to round number 3. It's basement now, the site of choice, and immediately Lambe bringing in the Ram for all that precious verticality.
Well, I think that verticality is going to be one challenge, because from what I've seen before from the side of MYD, they takes a lot of time to hunker down onto IT, and some given times they also try to hold on to the storage wall. So going for the Ram and just diving in with the Ram boogie is not going to be the easiest of it. But then again, if they can take the control of IT, or maybe the garage side, or should I say storage, actually not garage, it's going to be a bit more favorable for them. But with the Ella on the board, I mean, truth be told, both of these teams have Ella players for some reason. So I guess it is an indication they want to take the fights head on, because undoubtedly they have the flexibility when it comes to playing shields. They have the flexibility when it comes to playing the Scorpion and whatnot. So it does feel like to some extent they're going to be having those comfort picks available. But as long as it's working, nobody's complaining. And once again, I'm not appreciating the roam from the side of Ella, because every single time we have seen a blitz, especially from Nifsu, pushing onto the same angle from the southern side of the map and diving in and clearing kitchen first, because they know most of the time the contestants coming onto the storage side is going to be from kitchen. And guess what? There is a player available nearby. But on the brighter side of life, it is going to be an unorthodox vertical coming in from the Ram to make sure that the kitchen side is open so that he can cook a bit more.
That kitchen is going to be very important right now, as we see the Azami playing around this part of the map. Shots are about to be fired, but unfortunately, Nick AS is not going to be able to get the kill right there. Unfortunate. Now, 90 hallway as well. There is a defender over there. We did just see the blue outline on the screens for just a second. You've also got that vertical angle here. The red pings are out, but the Blitz has to be careful about this. There we go. Push Diamond. Oz is on the floor. Lamine comes around, taking that kill. Now that's a big one as well. Your Hibana is gone, so any hope of opening the hatches has just been reduced. Not completely destroyed, just reduced, because Nick AS should have, actually has already used up the secondary heartbeat charges. That's probably close to the site, and there we go. Lamine is going to fall to Rastin. That's the Dokkaebi coming into play. And of course, with the Dokkaebi comes the logic bombs. The phones are vibrating, folks. And that's going to be positions given away in just a second here. Shots fired. I believe that's MV on the Ella, who's facing this blitz down through that rotate angle. Smoke's going out. And a little bit of damage done to MV, who's just going to decide to be a distraction for the time being. Wait a minute. Did they not know where ADM was? That's going to be Nick AS to fall, and Lambe on the other side as well. It's a 2v4 situation with 55 on the clock.
Well, now they'll have to make haste over here because they're pretty damn far away, and now they'll have to rendezvous and then go for some form of aggression. But the problem is they'll have to find isolation. Guess what? They're gonna find that instantaneously. The Mew's gonna be down on the floor. But I think they have kind of a control onto exhaust chairs, but I believe there should be one player. At least the Azami is supposed to be there. The vertical lines of sight has been spotted. The silhouette is there, but the time slowly but surely bleeding. They'll have to make sure that they are going for these plays, otherwise it's gonna be burning them quite a lot. There is gonna be confirmation from the Ella with the impact grenades, but Nefsu not trying to be greedy whatsoever, trying to clear out all the angles, even getting rid of the Kiba berries to make sure that he has proper advantage when it comes to angles. Well, diving in, the smokes are gonna be there, but now it kind of needs to plant here, but he doesn't have the cover whatsoever. But guess what? He's gonna be covering himself. He's gonna be double kill over here. What the actual hell is happening here? Iron shaking a 1v2. The plan's going down. He can't do shit about that plan. And now on a post-plan scenario, oh, guess what? It is actually being planned. I thought it was cancelled. Never mind. Now he's diving in, but now he is fighting against the cloud. That okay, he's gonna be down on the floor. And now this is looking very vulnerable for the smoke. He doesn't have any more toxic eggs available. The Blitz needs to make sure he finds the kill. And yes, he does.
My!
Holy moly, Blitz! You just played with fire and you showed that you are the master of fire and you are not afraid to use it.
What even was that? The Blitz getting complete entry into sight just with the pistol and a smoke grenade in a dream. That was beautifully orchestrated and coordinated as well. The Dokumi came in for cover at just the right time, just to make sure the smoke didn't have, a free counter play for the diffuser being put on the floor. We have the couple bans coming in. The final bans for the first half, Dokumi and Fenrir, are going to be taken off the board. And I just gotta, give credit where credit is due. Blitz, is one of the more premier shielders in this game for a reason. And we just saw why. That triple kill, just wonderfully done all around. The push was there, and you could see the fear in the defender's eyes. Whenever the Blitz came, I was like, oh no, we have to face up against this guy now. And guess what? You do. That's going to be 2-1 to Pannuhuone as we move on to round number 4. The bans are set, and we're back to second floor.
This is the first time I'm actually getting to see that on the second ban, there's no shield ban. So this is interesting, truth be told, because I really expected from the side of MYD to have at least a focus on maybe a Blackbeard or a Blitz, but guess what? They're going to be focusing on the Dokumi, understanding that the calls are really giving them away. So it is a change of the wave, if I want to be honest, but I'm all in for it. Pannuhuone, they're still not going for anything unorthodox because I kind of expected them to go for maybe go for a clash ban, but instead I guess Fenrir is something they have been suffering from, especially in the first round where the Thermite was stuck in an island because he was F-natted over there. So it kind of feels like that they're trying to make sure and break the opposition's morale, and they're allowing them to be flexible. As long as they can find success with it, I'm all in for it. So no problems there. We do see a Valkyrie, I think for the first time in the entire series. I can't remember at least if we have. Maybe we have, but it does increase the value of the C4s quite a lot more. But even though there's a lot of C4 Valkyrie camera locations which do not have vertical angles, which are destructible. For now, the attackers, they are going for a much more organized push, or should I say a bit more understandable push, because I do believe they're going to be going for IT, but it's going to be Lambi. He's going to bite the dust first, as he's going to peek the vertical angle, which he shouldn't have.
Yeah, that's one of the risks of playing demos from down below, right? You would think that maybe a Buck would be better suited for that position, but at the end of the day, demos can do quite a lot of damage with that secondary as well, of course, with the death mark as well. Intel is the name of the game when it comes to demos. And unfortunately, with him gone, that's going to be a lot less intel that they can get, especially for that postman. I do like how, I believe that is an Archik, I'm not sure how you pronounce that name, playing on the first floor on the Mira, which is not a position you normally see Mira players play, but that flank is something that Pannuhuone might not expect as well. They are a body down, and of course, they still have to push the site itself. They've got breaches coming in, and we have the grenades from the Blackbeard just to clear out any potential utility on the IT door side. And Nick AS trying to get inside the catwalk here on Warehouse, but this is being seen by a mirror window. There we go. MV, one of the vectors, that is the Goyo in this case, finding pushed diamond, and now you're in a 3v5 situation, and it's looking worse and worse with each passing second.
For sure, but from the looks of it, Lam is going to be making sure that he's going to be on the higher end of it as the attackers are one by one falling like flies, but they will finally find one thanks to the Yang coming in. But then again, he is stuck in an island. There's so many angles to go. He's confused. Nifsu is having a bad day over here. And sadly for the Nomad, there's not much he can do as he's kind of far, not exactly far away, but the angles do not quite support him. The verticality is going to be coming in, but it's going to be favoring the Mera instead. And guess what? It is a 1v4 situation with no diffuser in hand either. With 50 HP, I believe. Needs to find the isolation, needs to find the kills, will find the first, but needs to find 3 more angry defenders. Problem is, they know exactly where they are and needs to find angles as there's the first one, the contact. But it is gonna be the Valkyrie who's gonna play a bit more passive than making sure that Nomad is gonna be caught while his pants are down. As the players of MYD equalizes on the same objective on the map of Nighthaven.
Gotta say, they know how to attack the top floor. That is for certain. Make Your Destiny equalizing 2-2 right now, going into the 5th round with a little bit more of a cleaner game, a cleaner mental, I would say, as compared to the previous two. Because at the end of the day, even if it is map 1 in a BO5, losing 2 rounds in a row never feels good when you're the one losing those rounds. So for them, that round was extremely important, especially with the Dokkaebi ban. You could see where that really helped MYD, because they didn't have to worry about the global calls going out. They didn't have to worry about their positions being given away, because guess what? The players, the in-game players, I should say, the operators, they somehow have their phones when going on Spec Ops missions. But hey, I'm not going to judge. I don't think anybody is going to, for that matter. Regardless, the fact that the Dokkaebi is banned and they decided to go for that has clearly given them that paradigm shift that they needed for that particular round, and that is what gives them that second score point. Now, given that it's basement side, they need to kind of play to their strengths here and make sure that they don't get taken advantage of the same way that happened the last time, which was a blitz and a dream, and Nifsu being back on that blitz, of course, is going to be the scary factor for them this round.
That's for sure, but at the same time, if they want to sleep on that, that's going to be a bit of a oopsie in my opinion, because yeah, the blitz is working, but now your opposition knows that you can run blitz, and they may even be aware of that. I mean, undoubtedly they are, and if they want to counter that all by themselves, there's a very high chance the blitz is going to be the first line of contact, and you're going to be having a huge downside on that. For now, the attackers, they seem like they're opening up the default angles onto the objective and Animus. So I believe they're going to be focusing a little bit more onto the head-on objective instead of going for the roam, understanding that there are going to be at least the Legion on top of the on the top floor to deny the verticalities. But then again, as there is a Legion who has a shotgun as well, that is going to be a pay. Oh no, he's going to be caught, but then again, he gets to run away, hopefully for him. But it is going to be Rustin who will pay the price for it. But then again, it is a 2-for-1 price for the attackers. But looks like the attackers are making sure that the credit cards are not going to be declined whatsoever, as they're just taking kills one by one. And what the hell's happening here? Lambie with a double, as they will not even flinch taking these gunfights to themselves. They just walk inside the objective as it belongs to them and will not show any form of mercy. Pannuhuone taking the lead on the first half. MYD, 1 more round to go before they head into the before they go for roll swap.
Pannuhuone just completely running into the site, unchecked, unprovoked. Well, I wouldn't say unprovoked, but completely denying Make Your Destiny's defense right there. Every single one of those gunfights went their way. We're only losing one body that entire time, which was Rastin. And even then, I don't think Rastin would mind being the sole sacrifice for that round, because guess what? That was all that Pannuhuone lost. They got map, they got space, they got map control, they got information so quickly. It was kind of insane, the speed at which they completely destroyed all defensive hopes. So now we have a little bit of a shift coming in the operator selections from Make Your Destiny once again. A little bit more focus and emphasis on the traps here, as we have MV with the Legion, but now we have ADM bringing in the Frost. We have the Goyo coming in as well with those Vulcans, and the Solus to find those drones and find that little bit of intel, that little bit of extra denial that they desperately needed. No mute from either side, of course, because at the end of the day, there's no line being played, and with Dokkaebi banned, you don't necessarily need to have mute that often, And given that, Mute is no longer one of the best deniers because of the changes to how his overall sphere of influence works, literally turning it into a sphere of influence from the cylinder that it used to be, it is now a lot less effective at denying wall breaches. With all that said, though, this roam game is going to be crucial for MYD, and they need to make sure their roamers, at least most of them, are alive in the late round if they want any chance of equalizing here before the half.
For certain, but at the same time, they have to make sure that the roamers can fall back to the objective when the call comes in, because last time around, they had a really good roam setup, but it was just out of Pannuhuone, just diving inside the objective as if like, yeah, I know where you guys are roaming, what if we just ignore it completely and go for the objective, because you'll have to come back to the motherland eventually. And guess what? That's exactly what happened there, and if that happens again, the defenders are going to be left with scratching their heads. From the looks of it, there is not. Wait a second. There's nobody to be seen inside the objective. This is not something I appreciate here, ladies and gentlemen. I do see the Soul is on Exo stairs along with the Azami, but that is nowhere near the objective. And somehow, if the recruit realizes, hey, we have a free real estate, we can just grab it, it's going to be devastation upon the defenders. It looks like there is some devastation happening already, as the Ram will be getting rid of the Solus early on. And mind you, the Solus was the only player who was in the vicinity of the objective, but hopefully for the Legion, we'll be able to fall back along with the Goyo, I believe. There is some Quidjone pinching coming in, but I don't think he's going to be giving away the drone anytime soon. He's just making sure the Legion stays annoyed for the remainder of the round. But the attackers, I have to admit, even though they're not going for the verticalities with the Ram, they have ample amount of map control to work with.
Absolutely, especially with these hatches that are now open. The boogie drone's going to work left, right, and center. Lambe no longer having one, but still, what little verticality they do have has given them so much room to work with. Shots fired and AMD gets one, but Lamine falls on the other side. It's still a 2-for-1 deal with one attacker down. Rastin getting that kill in the other side. The Goyo falling is not going to be helping at all, and there we go. He's going for the plant in the smoke as well. Will they be able to deny this? Doesn't look like it. AMD goes down, ADM I should say, goes down on the other side, and it's now all down to the 2v4 as we have an Azami and a Legion trying to find their way, navigate their way through this maze of attackers that they are presented with. They need to get the one that's outside the breach, but never mind. Here goes Tilko, and it's all down to never mind. It was down to MP for a second, but Push Diamond with the double at the end of the round will make it 4-2 for Pannuhuone. A good lead going into the second half.
Good God, they have indeed studied this map precisely, because last time they also played this map and they kind of fell short on the first time, but looks like they are ready for it this time, keeping themselves on the lead on their own attack. So they have a lot more flexibility going into defense. So my point is that what does MYD plan? No surprise to see the Clash ban, because on pretty much every single game on their own attack they have banned Clash. So what's going to be the second one? Is it going to be? Yeah, it is going to be Cade. So the approaches are something I'm kind of interested in, because sometimes MYD starts very slow, but eventually they picks up the pace and dives in a fashion that nobody would expect. And that's exactly where they control the pace of the game. And it is a shell shock. It feels like a spec ops. I wouldn't say spec ops. It feels like a SWAT action coming in, and as if we're seeing it in live feed as well, on real life. Because MYD, again, having the organization feels like a lot more confident before when they used to be RPT, because somehow they timed it properly. Pannuhuone, they knows this pretty much. Anyone can guess. But this is something they'll have to counter head on as well. Last time they kind of struggled because of playing it by the books. But guess what? MYD doesn't. But the only thing they do have is keeping the shields alive, and I guess MYD is not going to be an exception, as they will keep playing with a Blackbeard and probably a Blitz as well down the line. So I just want to know if this is going to remain identical, or is it going to have a change of pace?
I mean, the commentator in me is definitely saying there should be a change of pace. But at the same time, if it works and it isn't broke, then why fix it, right? I think that's a mentality that both of these teams are going to be approaching this best of 5 with. Because you can see we've got the Mira set up already with the Legion, with the Tubarao. I think actually Tubarao is a little bit of a rarity. We haven't seen him too much in this particular map just yet. But again, Fenrir's back, Mute's here. You've got the Mira, you've got the Legion. Everything that you kind of expect. Same on the attacker side. The Maverick is the only one that's only really different. ADM bringing in excuse me, right there, bringing in the Buck in place of the Deimos. Now, that, of course, we discussed a little while ago, so it's not too surprising that we're seeing Buck playing first floor vertical as well. What I was interested in just a second ago, I think it was the Grim who went up to the exterior hatch, dropped down into the small room by kitchen, and is now, or was for just a moment, holding down a punch hole on that wall. Right. Great position to be in because that's a hallway that you absolutely want to take care of. But wait a minute. Nick AS starts things off with the first kill, and that's ADM down. That's your Buck gone. So all that verticality that you were trying to set up is no longer in play. But the Maverick comes in, quick trick on the wall, and that's going to make it soft, which means it can be breached in, quick fashion as well.
If the Buck was alive, it would have been much more easier for them because now they wouldn't need any much utilities to open that. The problem is the attackers do have weaponries, but they don't have much shotguns. Or should I say, shotgun I do see the Grim shotgun available, but they'll have to go a little bit more up close and personal and needs to use a couple of more magazines they have, which could have been valuable in other circumstances, but I guess that's something they'll have to work on as of now. And it's kind of understandable because the Tubarão knows the Buck always goes onto storage side and tries to get rid of any utilities which may or may not be available on the wall. But as they have a Maverick really doesn't care what utility is on the wall. He can just cut through it like a hot knife through butter.
Oh yeah.
So these are just factors they could have been a bit more careful about because again, you know for a fact, at least from the side of MYD, they know that Tubarão plays IT and he plays vertical with that DMR available. Not to mention he is a monster with that DMR, and now I'm actually interested what this Fenrir is going to do. I was expecting him to just dive out of the barricade to get something, but it's gonna be taken out instantaneously. It's all up to Taiko now, as there's not much he can. Taiko, sorry. I was expecting him to just dive in, but sadly for him, he was giving away information to the defenders, and they'll take advantage. And that's exactly what I was talking about. If you had the Buck, you would have had a much cleaner breach. You could have dived in. Yes, you can do it with I forgot the shotgun's name. I think it is whatever, the Grim shot, the Bailiff. Yeah, thank you for that. So you can open things up, but the problem is the pellets it shoots are really tiny. That's what she said. So that's why you need a lot more. You need a lot more bullets, and sometimes even then it might not be satisfactory, unintended.
Oh dear me, the jokes are flowing, but that means, of course, that it is a good game that we are seeing at the end of the day. Sure, the Buck went down fast, and unfortunately, but it is what it is. You got to just roll with the flow sometimes. Just take the punches as they come. Right now, we have ourselves the basement site of Tank, and I mean, all things considered, Tank and Assembly, good site, needs a lot of roam presence. And this is where we saw Make Your Destiny kind of fall to the wayside, right, earlier on when they were on the defense. Their overall strategies were not quite up to par, whether it was because Pannuhuone decided to throw all caution to the wind and go straight into the site itself, or whether it was because Pannuhuone was very, very meticulous about clearing things on the first floor and above, and then go beyond. Now, here, Make Your Destiny has the chance to do something similar. I do like the inclusion of the castle here from Rastin, because that is going to allow for a lot better reconstruction and redirection of the parts of the map that they really need to take care of. For instance, that storage double door that leads into the hallway that goes to the back stairs, right? That is part of the map that is very high traffic, especially with that door that's almost constantly open. With the castle shutting that door down, guess what? Now you need to waste utility getting through that part of the map, but the defenders have rotates that are made inside the different rooms to get through that part of the map very efficiently. And this is the other thing, right? With these reinforcements coming in, that's why you have so many secondary hard breach charges along with the main breacher of Thermite as well. You need these utilities to open up the rooms, the walls, the lines of sights, just to force these defenders back. That's not even going to guarantee you a kill, because each breach you make is a two-way street, and you can get shot right through as well. But for now, looks like Make Your Destiny is going to take it slow. They've already spent the first minute opening up walls, opening up little bits of metal, and getting the drones into play. They know where the Azami is, so now should be the time to execute on that roam player.
That's for certain, but it does feel like that they're taking a lot of time going in for these roam hunts because, yes, you have taken some map control onto the kitchen side as well, I believe, because the Blackbeard was present. But with 1 minute left on the clock, 1 minute and 30 seconds left on the clock, you have taken control of the second floor. And guess what? The defenders just wanted that. And the biggest problem is no bodies have fallen. as long as the defenders are alive, even if the attackers are not alive, even though nobody went down from there, that side, the defenders are going to be chilling because technically they're not having too much of a contention as the clock is favoring them. And this is not something I'm going to be able to appreciate much because you're respecting the opposition strategies way too much than you should be. And now you do have the vertical angles, but guess what? Your ram is already taken off the board. Your buck is available, but then again, it's going to have challenges. And guess what? There is a lot more factors you have to worry about. And the biggest problem from the attacking side is there were no entry breachers available, no mutes, and of course, being Kate, Bandit is open, but Kate is not available to the map pool. So they could have opened up the wall first to make sure that the defenders fell back to the objective early on, but sadly for them, they respected the opposition strategy and they also kind of played by the books as the defenders wanted them to. And now they're on the receiving end of it with 30 seconds left on the clock, barely 30 seconds left on the clock, and now no diffuser either. Where do you go with this? You have to dive to the window. You have to dive into the stairways or the windows as well. But even then, that burns a lot of time.
Especially you can see here MV forced to melee
no.
the castle barricade only to get shot right in the head from Nifsu. And that is going to be ADM falling to push Diamond as well. Guess what, folks? It has barely been this map of Nighthaven Labs that got started, and now we're already on map point here for Pannuhuone. 6-2 up for them, and they are looking so very strong at the moment. It's round number 9, and if they win this round, we might not even see the third set of bans for the second half. That's how strong they look at the moment. First floor control room and storage is going to be the site of choice, and I gotta say, once again, clean and efficient gameplay from Pannuhuone is what we are seeing here. It's kind of what we expected coming into this, absolutely, but given just how beautifully they've played it so far, I gotta say, credit where credit is due. Pannuhuone, they have started out strong today.
They're looking very strong, truth be told, because last time when we were here between Pannuhuone and MYD, Pannuhuone did have a lead, but they fumble really sadly. But MYD, looks like they don't have any answers today. Somehow they are the ones who are not able to take any advantage whatsoever. But this is something I'm all in for, because in the end, if it's a one-way game, it's just way too predictable. And who the hell wants to watch something which is predictable, right? So the spices needs to be there, the balance of every single taste and spices, or even to some extent sourness. I'm all in for it. So Pannuhuone able to mix those recipes, or should I say their cooking skills, are just being showcased here. For now, as they are sitting on match, one thing, is he gonna use it? Oh, never mind. I was wondering if he's gonna be activating it or not. But now with the lead they have, if they can happen to keep themselves onto this track, they should be able to have a better end onto the upcoming maps as well. But MYD is a team I still wouldn't count out of the equation. But what I do want to see from the side of MYD is do the basics and then go for your creativity. For example, in the last round, I was telling that they should have opened up the main wall first and then go for the vertical holes and everything. Because in that case, number one, you have decent map control, because nobody in hell would want to play the objective once the main wall is open, because they will always feel like, what if there's someone else? What if I don't get to be aggressive? I have to take control behind cover, or I'm forced to play exo. And that's exactly when you want to go for the stair controls and yada yada yada, you'll have a much more flexibility. But as of now, I guess the attackers, they want to go for something they have done previously, except for the fact that they don't have a Deimos this time. So not a bad call, but I would appreciate a Bug being available, because at least with Bug or Deimos, as a matter of fact, you can vertical upwards. Hadley Sledge being a tall guy, he's not tall enough to vertical up there, even though I don't know how tall that hammer is, but sadly he can only do verticals from top to bottom.
And if only, you know, Sledge had this the arms of a certain green ogre that also is Scottish, right? If you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But regardless, we have ourselves a little bit of a situation. And once again, it is the fact that Make Your Destiny are taking their sweet, sweet time. They have opened up the warehouse wall, which is really important for a site like this. Yes, absolutely. But there you go.
Goodness.
Not watching the open doorway is going to get him caught. That's a thermite off the board. The Dokkaebi does get one, and Lamine comes around getting another one. That's 2 great kills on offsite, I should say, as Nikkei S and Lambe have fallen. They're trying to find one more. MV is on here at the top floor, trying to get one of these roamers holding down the vertical line of sight. There's two of them here, actually, and there we go. Call goes out. They don't have any mute jammers nearby, and now the Warden in the site is about to start getting pressured left and right. Shots fired. Beautiful shot from an Archik right there. That's going to allow the 2v4 right now and make your Destiny really have something going for them. But it's these verticals that you gotta be careful about. That's gonna be the Hibana to fall. Rostin taking the first kill. MYD has picked up the diffuser once again, and they have 20 seconds remaining. They gotta get in there, they gotta plant, and they gotta do it now. Dokkaebi is still trying to get on top floor. You've got a drone or something up there. Maybe it might be the defender cameras, actually, the passive of Dokkaebi that allows her to get defender cameras in possession, but never mind. Beautiful shot. Rostin falls to ADM, just not enough time to adapt right there, and looks like the plant is going to happen right now. Fenrir, top floor, Nipsu trying to find something to go off of here, but not enough time to create a vertical line of sight. He's really doing his best at the moment, does a bit of damage right there. Lamine really low on health, but so is Nipsu. I wouldn't say really low, but somewhat low, and they're, look at that, they're already fleeing that part of the bomb site. They know that they can't stay there, and that's exactly why. Drop comes in, it's going to be heard, and there you go, ADM in the hallway. Here's the drop, peeks the site, and gets the kill. It was a little bit chaotic, I will admit, from Make Your Destiny, a little bit helter-skelter at the last possible second, but they manage it, they get the diffuser on the ground, they get the round. It's not over yet, as we now move into round number 10, and the final bans for map 1 are going to be taken care of.
They're still pretty much sitting on match point over here from the side of Pannuhuone, but still keeping themselves calm and collected. It's really fascinating so far, and I hope they will remain to do the same on the upcoming rounds. And no surprises to see the Blackbeard ban. As I said, every single time it's going to be either MYD or Pannuhuone going for another shield ban. Now they're going to be limiting the players of MYD to play a blitz, in case they want to play a blitz, that is. But I do appreciate how MYD is taking these fights head on, because the Dokkaebi was supposed to be the cover, but in case the Dokkaebi fell, the Sledge was ready to refrag him instantaneously to allow his team to have the planting position. And that's exactly what they found, the flexibility. And the best part of it is the Sledge didn't plant on the default spot, because he knew there was a vertical angle, and in case he was planting there, I don't know if he had information on the Fenrir's location, but even if he didn't, not planting on the default position kind of won them the round as well. Rostin didn't have much option but to drop in and fight the dust, but in the end, it was something MYD had planned out and thought of it. But now, I think it's the first time I'm getting to see MYD playing without any shields, so I get to see a lot more gunfights from their side, and maybe, just maybe, they're gonna be able to take something a bit more extraordinary. And I really want them to say, come on, do not take the fight below IT head on, because again, it is going to be a 2-bar who's going to have an ACOG as well. And there's a very slim chance that you're going to be winning those gunfights. Even though, yes, you may have better fragging capabilities with a Buck or maybe an Ash as well if you want to go for those angles. But it may be a huge gamble, and you really don't want to take it, considering you're still sitting on your opposition's match point. But as the time goes, they are making sure they don't have much contestants on the first floor when it comes to the stairway. But once again, a very solo push from the side of MB, and he's gonna hit MB, and he's gonna be punished for it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what exactly the thought process was. MV probably thinking that he'd be able to get something going, but there you go. The Buck is gonna fall. It's the Legion this time around. Lambe holding down the IT room floor, and that is going to be the Buck to fall. Guess what, folks? MYD have just lost 2 massive bodies at the moment, and they haven't gotten anything to show for it. No map control and no breaches so far either. The Grim, there is no Grim actually, now that I realize. There's a Lion with a couple of grenades, but the main breach is the Thermite, and he's going to be going for it here at the connector wall. You can see on the blue outline on that part of the screen. And he's just making sure to get his breach in the right position, making sure that there isn't anybody to maybe try and deny it, even though the Tubarao is in the map. He isn't here yet, and they haven't gone for the breach just yet. There we go. Call's going to go out that, hey, they're breaching connector, and this is now going to blow open that wall, trying to maybe potentially get something out of it. But again, given the 5 defenders who are eager to swarm your location, you are going to need to be so very careful. This is a beautiful angle here held by Lamine right now. That Tubarao could be in danger if they are unaware of this situation. But an Archer goes down on the other side. Lambe with the kill, and that's a 2v5. They know the position of the Tubarao, but how much is that really going to help you? He sees it, but he doesn't have the shot. And oh my goodness, talk about siege timing. He ducks at the right moment. C4 is ready in the
Two
hand. I think
pairs.
that's two of them. Yeah. Two C4s ready to be tossed at a moment's notice. Three of them actually have C4s in total. So with 45 seconds left on clock, there's the first one. That's
Oh,
one more
God.
down.
Nice
Tilko
shot.
falls. And Lamine is the last one standing, not standing anymore, as that is going to be the first map going the way of Pannuhuone.
Oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Pannuhuone kept themselves calm and collected, and they are going to be able to take the first map from their opposition. Again, this is a map they have played before and they have suffered, yes, previously, but now they're showing up that they have done their homework and diving in a precise fashion. Oh boy, MYD. I don't know if they saw this coming, but they better be ready for the upcoming 3 more maps at least to keep themselves alive. But Pannuhuone, keeping themselves calm on these regards are something which I have to admire quite a lot. Not to mention, yes, MYD tried to make sure that they were also on top of the world, but to some extent they had some questionable plays. Like, for example, the Edge didn't quite need to go all by himself. Yeah, I understand you want to take the entry, but at least take someone with you who can refrag you, and it's not going to be as much punishing as it would have been. But unfortunately for the side of MYD, that is just map number 1. But I'm damn sure on the second map, I believe it is Skyscraper or I forgot actually, Skyscraper or Consulate. They may have a flexible approach on that. But then again, it is something the side of MYD has to make sure that they're looking out for.
Absolutely. Map number 2 is going to be very, very important for the side of Make Your Destiny because it is one of their picks, right? It's Skyscraper, I do believe, will be map number 2. But even if it is Consulate, they've picked it for a reason. They probably got something on that map to show us, and that is exactly what we're looking forward to. Right now, in this moment, they need to forget that map 1 even happened, right? But not necessarily forget. You got to keep in the back of your mind, you are a map down. But what my point here is, they need to make sure that in their mental game, when they're going into map 2, they clear their heads, they take the time to make sure that they aren't lingering on the loss that they just had, right? It happened, that's great. You need to move on into map number 2 and play it to the best of your ability. And that is what we hope to see from them. But Pannuhuone, I'll tell you what, they're going to be flying high right about now, coming in from the lower brackets, revenge match against this very same team, and to start off with a 7-3 scoreline. I'll tell you what, Cresta, that's, if I were in that camp, that is one hell of a way to start things off.
That's so certain. And I'm damn sure the side of MYD are also going to be looking for answers for themselves. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be taking a short break and we'll be allowing the players to prepare themselves for map 2. We'll be back in a few.
stairs, the thin line that separates your shadows from my soul. As these walls begin to fold, head lost in the silence, cold stars illuminate the secrets on your tongue and the poison in my lungs. Where every passage ends, a new road begins. The further I descend, your labyrinth.
One of the biggest surprises, ladies and gentlemen, already happened here for the EON League Season 4. And good God, I was not expecting that kind of a game to come through from Pannuhuone. A 73 goddamn victory on the map of Nighthaven Labs, where Make Your Destiny kind of put their foot down when they went up against them previously. This is insanity. Pannuhuone are here for blood, and they're here to make sure that they shut down any form of an advance that Make Your Destiny could have built up. But don't forget, this is still a marathon that they have to run here, ladies and gentlemen. In this BO5, there will be a lot of mistakes, and there will be fatigue as well that these players have to face. Hopefully, the members of Pannuhuone have not gave their 100% to one map only, because the second map is going to be in front of your screen soon enough, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, to bring you all of that action will be our casters, Blackjack and Cristo. Bring it all in, because I'm going to be in that background waiting to analyze it with you guys at the very end.
So, ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to be back into the equation. Well, after the first map, we needed some time to recover, as Aggie also joined us as well. So, on the second map, are we going to be seeing the high voltage matches again? Or do we get to see a bit more neck-to-neck gunfight? Or should I say matchup between these teams is something which will be answered right now. So, Blackjack, I want to ask you that what are going to be your expectations or recommendations to the side of MYD on the second map?
Oh, that is a good question right there. I'll tell you what. But looking at how they played map number one, of course, kind of using that as a baseline for what we could potentially expect, I would say that the side of Pannuhuone are probably going to be, just going all in, right? Absolutely getting themselves in as fast as possible, clearing site, clearing space, taking up as much part of the map as they can, and just completely denying everybody left, right, and center, right? So Make Your Destiny, they need to take this second that we've had this break between maps to just talk to each other, understand where they went wrong, and play to their strengths, right? The last round, we saw them trying to adapt to what Pannuhuone was doing to mixed levels of success. Some rounds they were getting something, some rounds not so much. Most rounds, in fact, not so much. So they need to play to their strength. Sure, you got a couple of shielders banned. That's great. That happens. You got to figure out how to play the rest of the shielders who are still available, right? Blackbeard and Montaigne got banned. They still had access to Blitz. They refused to play the Blitz for 2 rounds straight. And those 2 rounds, unfortunately, they lost. So does that say something? Maybe, potentially, about whether or not they should be playing their shielders when they have access to them. But also, when you have that disadvantaged position, slowing down is an option. But given the fact that when Make Your Destiny started slowing down, they really weren't able to do much. But whether or not that's, whether or not that strategy is going to be working out for them this time around, we'll find out, folks. Let's get into the game in just a short moment here, as it is map number 2, which will be the pick from the side of Make Your Destiny. And I'll tell you what, it is a map that we are definitely very excited to see.
I do believe it's going to be Skyscrapers. So, is it? Yeah, it is Skyscrapers. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be heading into the game as we have already missed 2 bans. Clash ban from the side of MYD. No surprises there. Pannuhuone going for a Ying ban. I'm not sure if this is something I've seen before, but the remainder are going to remain understandable and nearly identical, in my opinion. So, a really unique set of bans coming in from the side of MYD and Pannuhuone as well, should be told. So, this time, I kind of expect something we haven't seen before. I don't know if we have seen MYD playing Skyscraper before, because we have seen Skyscraper from the side of Pannuhuone against Team Thunderstruck, from what I remember. Yeah, it was. And Truth be told, Pannuhuone are incredibly strong on this map. At least they have showcased it against the side of Thunderstruck. So that's what I want to see. I want to know if that particular tradition remains identical this time around or not. But there's nothing extraordinary coming in from the player set except for ADM going for the glass, which I have seen him playing quite a lot before. So maybe holding on to the line of sights and maybe covering himself with smoke grenades and going for the thermal vision will be coming in handy. For now, it is going to be a defense onto the Tea Room and Karaoke side. And of course, we're going to be seeing a Montiel. I was wondering if we were going to be having any shields or not. So that's there for you.
Yep, like I said, with the Blackbeard band, you got to go for the other shielders that are still available for play. And of course, that is going to be, in this case, the Montaigne being brought in by Lamine and Lamine. Actually, again, I'm not sure how exactly you pronounce that name. I'm just going to keep saying Lamine until someone corrects me. But for the time being, defensively, I like the overall team up we've got going on from Pannuhuone's side. You've got the two SAS defenders of Smoke and Mute. That's a lot of shotgun presence already. So Lambe choosing to go for the MPX on that Warden, along with the SMG-12. So a lot of mid-range superiority. Well, not superior necessarily, but a lot of mid-range prowess for that operator. Nikki with the DMR, or Nikki S, I should say, bringing in that long range play alongside Pushed Diamond. I almost keep saying Punished Diamond because that is almost what that name looks like. But on the other side, the Glass. Now that is something to keep an eye on, and maybe someone who might be playing around potentially Geisha or the window here inside of Karaoke, because that's a long line of sight the Glass can take advantage of. Yes, sir. But the Deimos is another one to keep your eyes on. Lambe falls. That's the first one taken care of, and that's Tilko to take that. That's going to be unfortunate. Warden inside the site, always such an important player to keep to keep alive right now. But you have the safe crossover from the smoke. Rastan staying alive as they rotate around the back wall of Tea Room. Grimm's bees are coming out, and that, of course, is going to be a little bit of area denial, a little bit of information gathering as well. Grimm, so very influential these days after the litany of buffs and rework that he got last year, and even at the beginning of this year, I do believe. Not so much, but yeah, really, those changes have made him a powerhouse of an operator.
So sort of not to mention, he also has the shotgun to make sure that his teammates gonna have the shot destructibility as well. But as of now, it looks like the defenders are trying to play it. So understanding there is a glass rappelling out of the Karaoke window, and that is kind of amazing from their side because never mind, it's not the glass, it's actually a lion with a DMR instead. But as you can see, these DMRs are indeed coming in handy as they can cut off a longer line of sight. Now with the DMR and the shotguns being available alive on the defensive side, they'll have to make sure they're denying these entries. Problem is the Monty has already made its way inside the objective and probably will be going for a plant as well when the cover is available. But they are starting to move bodies here as the defenders. They're not having any form of advantage whatsoever. We have a rotational... it is having a... oopsie over here, but I do believe the Mute is not going to be surviving for that long because he was low on HP, and there you have it. Now it's all up to the Aruni. There is a player down from the side of the attackers, make it a 2 actually, as Aruni is trying to make some differences, but the problem is there's 3 angry attackers alive while she is low on HP. In the end, it is going to be the attacker who's going to have the upper hand here. Nice attempt from the defensive side, though, but it kind of feels like the side of Pannuhuone couldn't keep themselves alive on the first few seconds. That's exactly where the side of MYD is turning the tables around. 1-0 for them.
And a good way to start things off for MYD as well, because guess what? Last map, they started off 1-0 as well, but they started losing rounds very, very quickly after that. So that's something that they will want to avoid here and now. And that is why the second round is going to be so very important. Given the way that they played it, I do have to agree, Pannuhuone didn't really focus on keeping their players alive. It was more so about getting those face checks in, getting those peeks in, and trying to more so take bodies away from Make Your Destiny, which, while yes, can be effective to a certain degree, you also have to be careful when making a decision like that, because if your gunfights are lost, which is what happened in the previous round, you find yourself without the players necessary to really make the plays that you're looking to do. And that is why Pannuhuone they lost so many bodies quickly and ultimately ended up losing the round. Now, this is interesting right here. Nick AS getting the bandit battery onto that geisha single wall, which normally you see, you know, a little bit of foothold made and line of sight created that you can hold all the way from inside of drum and terrace. So the fact that they're choosing to close that off completely with a bandit battery to boot means that they probably don't necessarily intend to hold geisha that hard. It's probably a soft hold from maybe within karaoke or the hallway, and then fall back as soon as possible. Bandit also not really worried about going for any kind of tricks or what have you, because at the end of the day, it's about staying alive, and that is very evident already with the way that Pannuhuone is setting up here.
That's for certain, but at the same time, Pannuhuone is incredibly strong when it comes to holding the Taiko. At least from what I remember, the Warden, I don't know if it was Nefsu or I think it was Raston who was holding onto this area with the SMG-12, mind you. He was a dominant force. He was immovable behind this staircase right next to the drum side. And I guess they're trying to replicate that once again, and maybe they're going to be able to find success as well. But from the time being, the attackers are completely ignoring that as they're diving onto Shrine side, as the shield will be taken out by the Gone 6. And now they have kind of decent control of Shrine, even though the gold canisters are available. But now they will be destroyed to remove the Monty's aggression. But problem is, those Goyo canisters are not gonna burn forever. It will burn for a decent chunk of time though, but still it will be extinguished. And after that, the defenders will have to fall back to the objective. If not, they hunker down onto this particular area. Seems like the attackers understand there will be someone holding onto this area, so they are focusing to get this wall opened up. I don't know if the recruit is waiting for someone in particular, because as it seems, the striker is more than capable of opening the wall all by himself. Because again, striker and sentry are the most how do I put it, unpredictable operators in the game, because you never know what utility they have. They have two sets of utility and they just can't make that happen. And from the looks of it, Lambie is gonna be on the upper hand here, because he's gonna be able to find 2 kills back to back for the price of 1 of his teammates.
That's huge right there. Almost got a third rank. Not unaware of the fact that there was somebody out the door. Lambie, had they continued shooting out there, they might have actually gotten him. But wait a minute. Here we have shots fired and Capitel's firebolts go out. That's going to push Diamond and Lambie fall back. On the other side, Nick AS coming around getting 2. And that is unfortunately the attackers falling apart on all fronts. Lambie on the first floor will get the final kill on the Ash. And that is going to mark the end of round number 2. Much like map number 1, we have an early game equalizer as Pannuhuone take their first round as well. 1-1 the scoreline, and I gotta say, once again this time, Pannuhuone's adaptation. They saw that playing too far forward, too far ahead was not going to give them the dividends that they were hoping for. So they decided, you know what? We're going to hold back. We're going to try to stay alive first. And then when we get the intel, we're going to be aggressive and in their face.
Attackers need to locate and
Not quite sure if it's going to be like that, but then again, the way Pannuhuone is portraying it, it does look like they're going to be trying the level best to replicate that here, Blackjack. So, MYD, what's going to be their answer when it comes to their own attacks? For the time being, I don't know if they're expecting them to go for a first floor defense onto kitchen and barbecue. Yeah, now they know because bombs have been detected. And I do see a double hard breacher setup, perhaps. Never mind, it's going to switch onto a Brava instead, along with the Monty being still very much available. But I kind of love how Pannuhuone is forcing the attackers to feel uncomfortable. Even though in the first round they couldn't find the upper hand whatsoever, MYD, they just couldn't breathe even for 1 second. But looks like MYD is trying to capitalize on that, because now they have a double shield setup along with a Brava. I'm not quite sure how useful that Brava is going to be, considering there are no Maestros or Captains available. I mean, yeah, she still does have the Para 208 and at the same time having the Super Shorty shotgun. But usually, never mind, she's actually using the CMRS DMR from Buck. But the point is that Brava is much more annoying when there is a gadget the defenders are sleeping on, especially a Maestro, a Captain Trap or something. But in the end, if they're comfortable with it, I'm all in for it. So it does look like it's going to be a Geisha take from the attacking side, but then again, considering this is the first floor objective, Blackjack, I would have expected to have at least a Sledge or a Bug or maybe a Fuse even if they want to play Shields.
Yeah, that would be actually my overall assessment of it as well. As meanwhile, we see Vaseline getting flashed in the meanwhile. That's unfortunate. The Blitz just being a bit of a nuisance outside this window. I'm not sure if Vaseline going for that run out is exactly advised. He will do it nonetheless and fall back. But yeah, verticality wise, this team is a little bit lacking. MYD looks like their entire thought process here is to be as aggressive as possible when it comes to pushing the side. That's why it's a double shielder situation. But the Legion Goo Mine inside of Lamin's leg, that's going to be doing a lot of damage right now. And you have the mute jammer as well, just kind of stopping him from going on drones if he wants to. Meanwhile, there we have the Blitz trying to push into Geisha. One body falls. That's Nick AS off the board, but ADM goes down on the other side. Nipsey taking that kill. And guess what? Now the Montaigne's trying to push onto the back stairs here, but he knows that there's somebody inside of a T room, so you've got to be careful. There's the Hibana to fall, but Lambie gets one in the meanwhile. Legion Goo Mine goes out. They really are just double teaming this poor Monty outside on the balcony. Unfortunately, he's going to go down, and Tilko also taking a lot of damage right now. So is MV. It's a 3v2 situation, but it's not done yet. Shots can be fired, and they are. That's going to be one more down, and it's all up to the Lion, the last one standing, just repelling outside on this wall of the building, and that's all he can realistically do. The moment he tries to push in or repel in any part of the map, any one of these windows, he's going to get shot because there's players in karaoke, there's players playing the back stairs, they're watching over the doors, and MV, what do you really do here? He's repelled all the way around to the balcony door, but he's also the last one remaining for his team, just giving his team a little bit of time to talk by holding the outdoors here, as that's going to allow these 5 members of Make Your Destiny to take this moment to just breathe. They really had something going for just a second when they took down, I believe it was Lambie to fall first, but unfortunately, there you go. Runout's going to come in. Nipsey will clean up the final kill, and that will be Pannuhuone with the early lead, 2-1.
They do need a mental reset right now and right here, because their initial push was really commendable, but the moment they started to fall, every single one of them fall. And it's kind of sad because now that you have a Monty being pushed by 2 defenders as well, that's an indication that your opposition are not respecting the cover you have. They're going to take every single advantage to make sure that you're stuck in an island, and they're simply going to be taking you down. And truth be told, you do not like to see it when that happens to a Monty or a Clash as well, a matter of fact. But looks like MYD doesn't want to do the same thing again, so they are rather okay taking one shield head on, which is gonna be the Blitz, which is still very, very much available from the side of Tilko. But Pannuhuone keeping themselves calm and collected. Really good progress, I have to admit, but MYD will have to make sure that their pushes are not being punished, because sadly for them, whenever they're finding an opening, the side of the defenders is just doubling down instantaneously. For example, even in the first round, I think it was indeed MYD who had the first pick, but every single time, followed up by the side of Pannuhuone, they took double kills. For example, the Legion did, the Fenrir did, and so on. So these are indications that MYD are just kind of having a hard time here. Understandable, it is a grand final of a tournament which is also being streamed, so you may have a panic attack, but truth be told, you are here for the competition, so it is something you'll have to live with, because there's just no going back. For the time being, they are going back to a Geisha defense, so what's it gonna be? They still have a Blitz available, they have an Ace available as well, along with the Flores. I love this particular operator a bit more because you have the opportunity to take care of full control of Geisha if you want to. Not to mention, you can also destroy the drum wall, which is usually held with a foothold, and you can open up a longer line of sight, which is going to favor you if you happen to repel outside Geisha. But on top of everything else, now that you have a Aruni on the opposition, think about it, you can destroy those Aruni gates without losing your Roteros, because when they're on explosive mode, they're technically indestructible.
Absolutely. Flores is such a versatile operator. It really is just so good to see that whenever he gets picked, he gets a lot of value for his team. On the other side, though, Nick AS falling, and that is going to be an early pick that I think Pannuhuone would have wanted to avoid. Not sure where that went out, but regardless, that Tubarao could have held down the wall for just that little bit longer. But with him going down, that's going to allow Make Your Destiny a little bit more wiggle room on the map to work with, just to stay safe and, of course, stay a little bit more centered at this juncture. They do have the Blitz in play, and, of course, you have your Grim, you have your Ace, everybody, the typical suspects, so to speak. Lambie taking a lot of damage right now. Got to be careful about where you put your foot, my friend, as he's just going to run around the part of the map. Stay safe. Sentry getting targeted right now. Nifsu, got to be careful. He's got a soft floor below him. And should he be on the receiving end of that Deimos, well, I'll tell you what, it's not going to be fun at all. But this entire time, they've been playing so far off-site, Make Your Destiny has had to play to get them out of this part of the map. The actual site has always been Tea Room and Karaoke, so now they've fallen back to it with about 1 minute and 10 remaining. So plenty of time in their hands to just stay safe, stay quiet about this. Oh dear me, Nifsu getting into a bit of a skirmish here outside of Geisha through the window at that. But you've also got, excuse me right there, you've also got a little bit of room for these attackers to take advantage of. As Lambie, you gotta be careful. He's gonna retreat back on the side. 45 seconds remaining. It's about to be a bloodbath.
It's certainly gonna be, after all, because now the attackers are taking a lot of time to take this control. And I mean, you do have the Blitz still very much available, so you can brute force in, but the problem is that the Blitz needs some cover as well. And from the look of the Wolfbangs are really favoring the Blackbeard. Sorry, not the Blackbeard. It's the Warden, and he's gonna be able to tag up the Deimos quite a lot. Truth be told, the Ace and Deimos may not even survive for that long, and that's exactly what's gonna be the reality here, as now the Blitz is gonna be joining their side as well. In a matter of seconds, a 4v5 became, sorry, I think it was a 5v4, became a 2v4 as the defenders lost no body whatsoever. Now it's all up to the Blitz now. Again, the time management is something the attackers are really struggling with. I wouldn't say that their push was bad or something, because they were able to take decent amount of map control, but in the end, if you're playing that slow, especially with a Blitz available to your roster, it's not something which is gonna benefit you the most, because in the end, Blitz, I don't know if Fuse's shield has the same hitbox or not, but Blitz is an operator. You have to play with speed. It has been the same thing since Operation Chimera. Considering the fact that Blitz is the first shield operator who had the ability to run with the shield
Attackers
up,
need to locate and
and
defuse
if you're not
the bomb.
using that fear factor to your own advantage, it may not be an advantage whatsoever. And looks like the side of MYD, never mind. I was about to say they may understand that, but they're going to be switching a Thermite for a Blitz. Well, understandable. They don't quite need a breach onto the, if they're not planning for it, that is, onto the balcony. They can go for the T side, but mind you, last time that's exactly where they faltered against the side of Pannuhuone.
The other thing being that when it comes to this map and how it's been played so far, right? Tea Room was the only side that Make Your Destiny had won before Pannuhuone got 3 rounds on top of them. And the last round that they did just take right now was also the Tea Room site. So at this moment, you know, Make Your Destiny, I don't think alarm bells are going to be sounding just yet, but they certainly should be getting onto a red alert type situation, because they've lost 3 rounds back to back. Any momentum that they could have gathered from round number 1 has been entirely killed, and now their insistence on playing the shield is something that might even be a detriment to them if it doesn't end up working out. For the time being, they have the Thermite, they have a Raora coming in, and I do like the inclusion of this particular operator because of those DOM panels, right? A lot of site restructuring can happen very quickly, especially if you're unaware of where that Raora is playing. So you need to be on your toes all times. And here we have the flashes coming in onto this 90 part of, or the bend, I should say, of that out exterior balcony, the common runout spot that's being held down. And, you know, understandably so, because guess what? They're trying, or at least Rastin was thinking about it, but he's decided to reinforce off that rotate that they have. And just staying alive being the emphasized modus operandi here for Pannuhuone.
That's what's on, but at the same time, what raises my eyebrow quite a lot here is the FNAs which were outside of the balcony were not activated by the Fender. So if he kept it activated for at least a little bit more time, maybe he would have gotten a little bit more value perhaps, but I guess that's something which is not he's focused on. He's trying to keep his team alive, understanding that the attackers plays insanely slow. And I don't wanna poke the bear here, but it is kind of a repetition of history once again, because all the control they have is just outside of the building onto the balcony here. I mean, you can narrow yourself down into that particular area, but the problem is, how long are you going to be surviving here, as my Discord is stuck onto the Windows screen here? I don't know if I'm the only one. But finally, we do have the entry coming in from the Blitz. Now, guess what? There were Goo mines to be expected, and they were after all. And now the Blitz is going to be hitting inside the smoke and planting. A very old strategy we used to back in the days when we were starting Rainbow 16. But I don't know if the plan is going to be successful. And no, it's not going to be. As the players will push inside the smoke and deny the planter. Even the player himself went down as well. But with 40 seconds left on the clock and ample amount of map from the defenders, it's gonna be challenging. The Warden is still available. You cannot stand the smoke, my guy. If the Warden turns off the glasses, that is gonna be a problem, but I think the cover is there. And now there you have it. The cover, even though being there is not gonna be efficient whatsoever, it's all of the Nomad and 1v3 able to do some damage to the Warden, but the Warden is gonna pull off the shotgun and do it on the face. Oh boy, oh boy. It does bring back a lot of memories, but it also brings back the memories where we used to get C4 when we were trying to finish on the smokes here, Blackjack. Boy, oh boy.
I can certainly relate to those memories, but I'll tell you what, right now, Pannuhuone are not going to be relating to any of that. Actually, Make Your Destiny will be, because that blitz pushed in, and there really should have been a little bit more emphasis on cover through the smoke, just cover fire in general so that no defender can get the cross in. Maybe they were doing that. Maybe they ran out of bullets and had to reload. Whatever the situation was, guess what? The defenders were able to just push up through the smoke, deny the blitz, and then Thermite smoked and tried to plant again. But guess what? Again, the defender was able to just get in, get the kill, deny the plant, once again. They dropped diffuser twice in the site, and each time it happened, it was a worse mistake than the last. And ultimately, Pannuhuone, they are now 4-1 up. Skyscraper is certainly going their way, despite being the pick of Make Your Destiny. Now, MYD, right now, they're probably thinking, is this the same team that we sent down to lower brackets? And definitely not, right? They're a team that's done their homework. They are here with a revenge story in mind, and they are more than happy to execute on that plan. Given that it's 1-4 down, MYD slowly but surely will need to start ringing those alarm bells, because say it's a 5-1 half, I'm not sure how many rounds Pannuhuone will actually end up losing in the second half. Like Skyscraper, yes, some have called it a defender-sided map in certain situations, sure. You can probably go for that analysis, but at the same time, how many rounds would you have to lose for it to go from 5-1 to maybe 5-5 or 6-5? A lot, that is for sure. The math doesn't really support it, especially with the way that Pannuhuone has been playing so far. So right now, Make Your Destiny, they need this round to go their way. If not, then, oh boy, are they in a lot of trouble, as that first skirmish is going to happen right now. Flashbang goes out, and they're going to try and get Nifsu out of the back stairs here. Shots fired, and Tilko is low on health. He's going to still manage to get the kill, thanks to, in part, the RU projectors of the Sense.
Gotta admit, they are utilizing these covers pretty efficiently, and usually you don't get to see it that often. I don't know if they had information on the player onto the T side, but at least guess what? They were able to down him as well. Now Rastin being on the floor, the Frost is trying to cover. Funny enough, he's not with the ACOG scope, but I guess he's comfortable with the holo, so that's completely fine by him. But the biggest problem here is that the side of Pannuhuone, they can take the lead, but at least from the previous day when MYD and Pannuhuone faced off against each other, they did have a 5-1 lead on a particular map where MYD made a comeback. So MYD, if they're confident to do the same thing again, I'm all in for it. But that is still a huge gamble from their side. Rastin is going to be picked up thanks to the revive, but most of the attackers, they are finding values one by one as they're keeping themselves alive and also making sure the defenders are staying at bay. The biggest problem is there are not too many defenders inside the objective, and even though that's not the biggest factor, it's going to be the ace who's going to bite the dust first. And from the looks of it, the defenders are trying to over-aggress this as much as they can to make sure that they are the ones who are going to remain in the driver's seat. The blitz is inside the objective with the diffuser. The shotguns will be trying to find him to get him on the vertical angles. But as of now, the blitz is running around like Tom and Jerry. Should I say like
Make Your Destiny, who take one back, putting their second round on the board, and better late than never. Like we said before, they absolutely desperately needed that round, and they've gotten it for themselves as we now move into round number 7, the second half, and the swap has happened. So Make Your Destiny are now on the defense, and we have Pannuhuone on the attack. And guess what? We already have
Interesting.
a couple of very, very different bans than what is normally to be expected. Grim and Warden have been taken off the board. I'm pretty sure the Grim, I think we can both understand, right? In this case, all of us, because Grim has been a nuisance when it comes to denying area, flushing defenders out of corner positions, and also getting so much live intel. And that, is just not something you want to defend against constantly, because a lot of defensive comps don't really require, Jaeger or Wamai, at least not all the time. They're there, I want to say, about 70-80% of the time, but the Grim is there nearly 100% of the time. And so when you're not catching those and
Is really rare to see, but Ying is usually a must ban after a ban onto Warden, because that probably is a strategy from their side to force a ban and make sure that they do not go for any of those shield bans, because shield operators being banned. I don't know if it was available from the side of Night Haven Labs as well, but I mean,
Alrighty then, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to the EON League Season 4 here for Rainbow Six Siege X with your host Blackjack and Creston Sets. We are back after a little bit of a technical difficulty that just happened, but guess what? It has been fixed, and the grand finals will continue with this explosive game of R6 Siege X. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight back into the match itself, and I'll tell you what, given the fact that it is right now 4-2 in favor of Pannuhuone, actually 5-2, because guess what? We did miss the round, unfortunately, because the technical difficulties were not with the players, so they were allowed to play the round out. And guess who won? Yes, indeed, Pannuhuone, as they are 5-2 up going into round 8.
they're keeping it rolling, as it seems, even on their attacking side and the side of MYD. Again, not sure what happened back there, but looks like they're still having a hard time finding their footing. But kind of want to say that it is where they should find it right now and right here. They can definitely push it to overtime as well in case Pannuhuone takes this round as well. But do you really want to be sitting on your opposition's match point where one mistake is going to be extremely lethal? MYD. Yeah, they still have a couple more breathing zones available on a best of 5 series, but guess what? On a best of 5 series, the stakes are a little bit more higher, even though it might seem forgiving because your opposition has 2 maps in their pocket, while you need to win 2 maps in case the side of Pannuhuone wins this map as well. You need to win 2 maps back to back, and then you have the chance to put some fight on the 5th map. So there is a lot of pressure from their side, and truth be told, it's not something which hasn't happened before, at least in Rainbow Six Siege, but it is something which can stress you out in a lot of regards. And when it's a tournament match, you want to keep yourself calm and collected. And truth be told, MYD are not having that flexibility any means necessary. We do see the Frost. We were seeing the Frost onto the Geisha wall, a really aggressive position, but I think he has fallen back. Yes, he did. That is a good one, actually, because if he faced against the Ace with an AK-12 against a 9mm C1, there is no way in hell the Frost would have been come up on top, except for the fact that if he went for headshots. But still, the AK-12 being the best gun of the game, it's still a challenge. A mirror window being put up over here. Interesting to say the very least. Yes, it does give you information, but yeah, whenever you put it up there, it gets destroyed instantaneously, and that's exactly what's gonna happen here as their defenders. Maybe focusing on holding onto the Tycho set for a bit longer, but now if you happen to destroy the mirror window, that is a slither of an angle which can be used against you.
Yeah, absolutely. Given the fact that the mirror window has now been punched and put into shatter
Disgusting.
state. Oh dear me, that almost was a kill for this Wamai over here in Arshek. But now with the drone being destroyed, that's going to give away the position that hey, someone's playing around here with the mid jammer. Shots are fired, but oh, it's a Blackbeard who you're fighting down right now. Grenade almost could have done damage right there to this defender, the Frost right here, but an Arshik does manage to get one on the other side. It's going to be Rostin to fall. The Zofia no longer in play, and they're holding this down because guess what? That's another one with the diffuser drop as well. Lamine gets
My
another one.
God.
Lambe to fall. An Archik with another, and it's all now up to Nisu, the last one standing. Blackbeard with their shield up, and all you can really do is just tap, tap, tap away, try to find anybody. But yeah, no, I don't know how much they can really get away with at this moment because guess what? It's a 1v4, but it's Nisu. You don't want to give up on this particular player just yet. He's about to get shots fired on him in just a second. Right now, there we go. Impact grenades are out, and they are really trying to get him out without trying to go too far forward and take him on face to face. There we go. He knows where one is, but the moment he ADSs an Arshik comes around, and I do believe that's a triple for the Wamai in the round, who will make it for 3-5, excuse me, for MYD.
That's actually a very important round for them, their side as well, because as I said, they're starting to lose ground very quickly, but now at least they have confirmation that they want to keep it for themselves and want to keep themselves alive. And one more round to go, they can probably take their Blackbeard out as well. Again, not quite sure if the shields are going to be targeted, but at least they have bought enough time for them to survive at least 2 more rounds. And maybe in those two rounds, they should be able to close up the gap as well, and then maybe make an equalization, moving into a comeback. That is something which may be in the cards now, because considering the fact that MYD is showcasing what their crossfire setups might be, Pannuhuone may start to lose ground here. And kind of admirable that they're not going back to the T side anymore, understanding that they lose control of the shrine side very quickly. Now they want to make sure that even if they happen to lose shrine, they are not going to be having too much of a nuisance for that, because the objective is below. And gotta admit, both of these teams focusing a lot of the verticality as defenders. That's insane, because you are forcing your attackers or your opposition to come and meet you head on, and then maybe take control of those vertical angles and then go for the objective. You are not allowing any form of comfortability to dive inside the objective when it comes to quick aggression. And even if there were anything applicable, the defender sides were able to punish them in a really spectacular fashion. Well, a nice attempt on the spawn peak, but somehow will not connect. I think it was a Blackbeard, so probably the shield was able to cover that. Nice attempt from the Legion, but on the brighter side of life, both of them got to survive. We got to see a proper team combination, not something which is a little bit more focused on manpower advantage here. So, the defenders, they are still setting up on the top floor and making sure the attackers have a harder time taking control.
Here we go, though. That Blackbeard's in. C4 goes out. Is that going to do much? Not a whole lot. Nisu manages to save himself with the shield, and that is going to force the Valkyrie to fall back. The drones were following her for just a second, but guess what? There's players on this window here as well by the shrine. So that shrine balcony, that's now an area that you can't really execute on. Lambe over here trying to get something going towards the backstairs door right now. There is a Banshee deterrent to stop him from getting too far up. There's the Blackbeard who's probably chasing as well. Shots fired through Geisha window. And it's one of those cases where they're doing this roam clear. They're trying to get as much as they can. Here comes the Dokkaebi Logic Bomb. And that is going to give away some more positions of these defenders with the phones vibrating left and right. But they're not quite being forced out of this situation just yet. Attempted run out right there, and the second Logic Bomb comes out, and that again, phones vibrating as the Blackbeard gets put into shield broken state for just a second. But again, nothing too much happening. You can see MYD just retreating to safer spaces, to safer shores the moment they get aggressed upon. And that's what's keeping them alive so far, and that's what's making Pannuhuone antsier and antsier as the seconds tick by.
With 1 minute left on the clock, the attackers are really scratching their heads now because they have not quite found enough value to go for a commitment. The Blackbeard is going to be in the vicinity of Geisha, able to find one. There you have it. But then again, you still have to commit the objective. The attackers on both of the sides, both of the teams, if I might, they're actually struggling with the time management. And I guess this is something which is going to remain a tradition for the time being. Lemine able to find something, but still, it needs to be a bit more efficient. And wait a second, wasn't it the castle? Oh, never mind, it was not actually. It was the Flores instead, because the iron sides I got confused for a second. But Push Diamond able to get rid of Lemine here. And now the attackers, they do have the man advantage, but still, with 20 seconds left on the clock, the diffuser is very much far away from the objective, and they probably need to go for a hatch drop as well. The biggest problem being the hatches might not be covered by the attackers. As the time goes by, the attackers, they are swarming near the objective, but now they have to make sure that they are taking this fight head on. There is information from the Nomad trying to find the shots, but it is going to be refragged instantaneously. MV is going to be making sure that he keeps this team alive, but now he needs to make sure that he is alive, as it is triple digit, triple zeros over here. The fans going down as well, and he's going to find the first, looking for the second, and he finds the clutch as well. MYD is making sure that they are living up to their destiny, and they are on top of the world, at least getting there. 4-5 as Pannuhuone. Nice attempt, but MYD, or should I say Legion, you're a monster.
The 1v2 clutch with the diffuser denial right there. Pannuhuone taking just way too long on that attack to get in and get the box on the floor. They didn't have the right amount of cover, especially with the Nomad going down, trying to take the smoke off the board. Blackbeard and Azami are going to be our final bans for the map of Skyscraper. And folks, we are far from done when it comes to this particular map. Excuse me right there. Of Skyscraper. We are now 5-4, 1 round to equalize for MYD, while Pannuhuone, they still sit at the cusp of a potential second map point. They haven't gotten there yet. They are desperately trying to, but it's not there. Not all there, at least, for them. They need to take the second. They need to realize where they went wrong. And in that last round, it was just a case of not being able to get the bodies when they needed to, not being able to get the trades when they needed to, even when they had the 4v3 advantage. When they pushed up towards the site, they just did not have the intel that they desperately needed. I'm not sure if Dokkaebi was able to get the defender cams or not, and even if she was, it clearly didn't help them. And in that regard, I do believe that they need to improve their playstyle overall. Just little improvements on what they're already doing, because what they're doing is definitely working to an extent. It's just on that final site execute, they are falling apart because they're taking too long to get to that point. And that is something they need to keep their eyes on right now.
Have to be very careful about that regard, truth be told, but at the same time, the attackers, another factor they'll have to worry about is the timer. Again, they are not able to keep up with that particular factor whatsoever. The defender, they're just chilling at this point. Now, I kind of believe that attackers will have a change of pace here. I do see some presence on the exhibition side. They do see the lines of sight as well. The Legion is near the vicinity, but problems are the fact that how do you want to take this fight head on? Again, you have the blitz available. You can definitely drone for the blitz and send someone else to support Blitz in case something goes wrong, or in case even if he's staggered, for example, so that the refrags do be coming in, even if the Blitz is not down, for example. But looks like it's not something which is going to remain applicable here, as Lama is going to be the first person to get rid of Lambe, the Nomad being off the board. I'm not sure if the air jabs are already in position or not here, Blackjack, but it could have been better to have an extra gun on the equation. Again, the defenders, they're just taking kills and running away, denying any form of opportunity to refrag.
And that is what's really, kind of sending us all for a loop right now. The fact that they're just being able to get those kills and run back, right? That's what's really, ticking off Pannuhuone at the moment, because they know that they need to get a trade, they need to get a body back, and they got so close with Lamine and an Archik, but the fact that they're both alive is going to make these attackers very much antsy. And oh my goodness, what a position being held right there. I do believe that was the Solus on the first floor, as MV might have something going on for themselves. Of course, Soul is very good in those in plant situations and denial situations as well. So that's why you've got the shotgun SMG combo as well. Shield going to be taken down with the Flores, but Rostin falls. Oh dear me, and Archik with 2 just holding from inside of T-Room. And guess what? We have ourselves a 2v5 with Push to Diamond, I should say, excuse me. The only one who's got some semblance of HP remaining. And on the other side, Nick AS is very low on health. There we go. No. Solus will go down, had the gadget up, and that's going to be the downfall of 1. But realistically, what can you even do here? Pushed Diamond and Nick AS are seeing this situation get from bad to worse as 20 seconds remain. They can find the plan. It simply is not going their way right now. As there you go. Push Diamond does manage to get 1, but it's all down to the 1v2. 3 seconds remaining, and he's going to get found by Tilko. And that, folks, is going to be the great equalizer. 5-5 is the scoreline. And Make Your Destiny certainly are making that destiny of a potential map to win here.
That it seems to be in the horizon after all, as Pannuhuone is starting to fumble a little bit, in my opinion, but MYD is showcasing how dominant they are as a team, and when it comes to holding the angles, playing the time and playing it patiently, understanding that they are 1 map down. They knows that they were short on the first half as well, but making sure that they are not gonna be fumbling anytime soon to that same factor. As you said on the very beginning of the game, that yeah, you are 1 map down, but you have to forget about it and start thinking fresh. And I guess from the side of MYD, they did start slow, but at least now they are. Pannuhuone, they're kind of double doubting that, okay, what should we do this time? Should we go for a different approach? Should we go for something unique, perhaps? But that is actually a thought which may have its advantages and disadvantages. Because number 1, you will not follow the strategies you have made, or which were your primary strategies to begin with. And because of that, you're probably gonna be relying on something you had as a plan B. The biggest problem of plan Bs are that they are plan Bs. They are not something you're very flexible with. Yes, you are, but if the plan A was something you kind of were a bit more advanced on, you may not have the same equation. But as of now, I think Pannuhuone is desperately trying to have early manpower advantage, because pretty much every single round I see at least one of them trying to be aggressive, trying to find a peak, for example, and make sure that they can just burn the time. Sorry, it was actually the side of MV. They will be doing that. I messed up for a second, but Pannuhuone, they are trying to respect the strategies their opposition are having. But at the same time, if you respect it too much, you may be on the bottom end of the barrel, and looks like it's gonna be the same case, thanks to ADM getting rid of Raston.
Once again, losing bodies early, that's something that the side of Pannuhuone really needs to figure out right now, because the moment they lose that early body, that's when they start panicking. That's when they don't have that 5th gun, and in this case, it's a gridlock. So, of course, those track stingers, which would have been so very helpful for the team, are no longer in play. So flank routes are no longer being watched as heavily as they would have been before. Meanwhile, Nick AS is going to go down, and Archik takes that kill happily so. And guess what? We are now in a 3v, make that a 4v 3 situation. Nifsu comes around, takes one for himself, and a much needed one at that. That's an Arshik to fall the Tubarao on the floor. At the moment, that is just one. They need one more. And this bandit, there we go. He's going to be down, taken care of by Lambe. That's 2 now. And the Buck on the first floor has to be careful because guess what? Someone might try to go for a peek. There we go. It's going to be seen. The Mute, the Legion, both of
Everybody's
their
there?
positions given away. Yeah, multiple of them. Yeah. They really are just trying it right now. But with a minute and 10 remaining, the smokes are going to go out. Nifsu might actually try going for the plant. I don't know how advisable this could be, but he's doing it.
It's still sticking, and there seems like there are no denials whatsoever. There's a very high chance that this will not survive, even if the plan goes down. Yes, it will go down, but Lambe is gonna be the first line of contact. It's now all up to the Ash in a 1v2. Technically a 1v1, and it is a 1v2 after all, as the Scopos will find the run out and also do some friendship dances over here to show his dominance. As it looks like MYD is just making sure that they are gonna be on top of the world after all. Pannuhuone, really nice attempt, but I guess the main thing was that they were kind of focused on the fact that what if there are C4s or something, leaving that particular run out completely empty. And you just said it, Blackjack, that is, as the gridlock was taken out so prematurely, yeah, you could have used those track stingers on that particular area as well, or maybe a nomad as well to deny the run out. And you know, these are just some little things which may win or make you lose the round. So MYD, now they're flexible over here, sitting on their own match point to equalize it to the map number 3, to the second map, to have one map on each other's backs.
Oh boy, howdy. Round number 12, or as I like to call them, the round of ones. One round for Make Your Destiny to equalize the map count, win 7-5, and go into map number 3 with renewed confidence and vigor. Or on the other side, one round for Pannuhuone to keep this map going and to push us into overtime. Boy, howdy, this is quite the map indeed. Skyscraper is hotly contested right now, and given the fact that it was 4-2 in Pannuhuone's favor at the half, I'll tell you what, I don't think any of us expected it to get this far this quickly. But you know what they say, the caster's curse strikes again. Right now, 6-5 to MYD. They are looking strong. They're getting the early kills. They're getting important picks as well, especially shutting down Lambe every single chance they get. Lambe has been stuck at 11 for quite a while now. 11-9 for that player at the moment. And they were, what, 10 and something when we got to the half. So Lambe has not been able to play much. And there we go, MV with the early kill. What is going on, Pannuhuone? This is now the third or fourth round in a row you have been spawn peaked or run out upon. And I don't know if they're not being careful enough or they're just getting caught off guard. I mean, I get it. The first time, yes. The second time, maybe. The third time, it's a stretch. But the fourth time in a row? I don't know about that.
Gotta admit that MV is also trying his level best to push it, and he's trying to make sure that he is keeping his team to the advantage whatsoever. So I guess Rastan is not gonna be happy. He's definitely not gonna be happy about it, but so will be the other way around is gonna be Apple from the side of MV, and looks like the attackers, they're really not having the best of the round map so far for the time being, because they're starting to lose these 1v1s, and the worst part of it is that they are giving 1v1s to their opposition, and now looks like they have some form of advantage. Never mind, Lowline will bait his teammates down body and will confirm the kill onto the Blitz as well. Now it's all of the Flores and the Ace. Problem is that they are pretty far away for any potential refrag. MYD will lose a play because of this connection, perhaps. Not sure if it was intentional or not, but 2v4 situation, we will be seeing the Flores the Ace capitalizing on one kill, still not a man advantage in their favor. So still kind of a comfortable one, but it is something they'll have to work on. They have made it to the objective. They can definitely go for the plant as well, thanks to the Flores able to go for another kill to make an equalization. The C4 is not available anymore, so the 8 technically has safe heaven to plant as well. And never mind, it is not the top 4. Who am I kidding? So they'll have to make their way to the bottom 4 as well. Yeah, this is what happens when you're like keeping up with a lot of information at the same time. The hatch is being contested. Flores might not be aware of it, or maybe he is, who knows, but time is ticking. But on the brighter side of life, with 3 players down on the board and the Valkyrie being on the board, all of the defenders who are down are on cam duty.
Oh boy, so many cams, so many places, but MV goes down. It's all down to ADM in the 1v2 situation, but he gets one. It's a 1v1 now, and they know kind of where the Valkyrie is. Push Diamond has to get this kill. He sees him. He sees the head.
my
He's not going to be able to
goodness.
get it just yet. The peak might happen. That's the flashbang going in, and that's going to force the Valkyrie back a little bit. Push Diamond knows he has to go for the kill. He's only got 10 seconds. The Valkyrie's running for it, but he gets it! Pannuhuone, just about by the skin of their teeth, will be able to get themselves one desperate round. And guess what, folks? This map, it is far from over. It is 6-6, so you know what time it is. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to rumble? Overtime is in play.
Holy moly ravioli, these players just do not know where to give up whatsoever, and really good attempt from the Valkyrie, but I think he double doubted that, okay, what if he has the diffuser, what if he plans? That's why he came back to the storage side, and that's exactly where he fumbled. Flores really played it smart, using the flashbang to force all the Valkyrie to be there or to be a bait over there.
Attackers need to locate
And now,
defuse as many bombs
even
as
though
they
the odds are picking us out of MYD, it's not applicable anymore. Even though they still have enough rounds, but they're technically on square one, going back to their own defense. I think it is MYD. Yeah, it is MYD on their defense, so they may have an advantage considering the defenders were a bit more dominant, if I might, on their own rounds. So if they can keep up this tradition, they should be comfortable on it. But Pannuhuone, yeah, they kind of showcase they can definitely pull the triggers when it comes to the late rounds as well, even if the rounds are going into triple zeros. Good God, Pannuhuone. If they can keep themselves calm for a little longer, they should be on the driver's seat yet again. Mind you, they are technically on the driver's seat with the first map, but if this is what we get to see on the second map, I wonder what's gonna be up for us on the third and the fourth, in case we need a fourth as well. But chances are very high that we may, because MYD is not gonna be letting it go this time. Lama this time is gonna be the aggressive player who will be trying to go for a pixel peek onto the tower spawn, but unfortunately for him, nothing here. But fortunately for Raston, he does get to survive this time. So it is a 5v5 game after all, going into this map. And looks like the defenders, they're not gonna be spreading across the map for too long, however, and we do get to see a Thunderbird as well in case someone is damaged up, if they're not catching a bullet to their head.
Oh boy, oh boy. We got ourselves an overtime round indeed. And Nick AS is taking a bit of damage right now, half health or slightly under for that particular operator, the ace, so to speak. Got to be careful where you peek in this moment. C4 ready to go, and it's going to be pushed out, but the Blitz is going to push in, but no!
Wait,
MV with the
wait.
double! Good, getting the cross. Does go down, excuse me, to Lambe, who's taking a bit of damage on the other side as well. That Thunderbird just shifted the entire round on its head. Any potential play that was being made a moment ago is no longer in play, and Lambe is now on the floor bleeding out. It's all down to Raston and Push to Diamond, the only ones left standing. And Push Diamond really wants to get in here, but no, caught on the blind side by Tilko. It's all up to Raston, the last one remaining. He wants to potentially go and help his teammate, but he's too far away, all the way on the first floor bathroom. So now this Dokkaebi has to peek alone. His position might be given away from a beeper, and across the hallway there's gonna be a peek. Yes, it is. It's Lamine coming around, getting the kill. And folks, guess what? We are once again back on Make Your Destiny, being on map point.
Make your destiny, making sure that they are on the, they're just dictating it. And not to mention, they're also playing on contact of each other. Because I have to admit, when the Blitz dived inside of the Geisha, the Thunderbird was ready, and I have to admit, both of these teams, or should I say the players of MYD, are exceptionally good on their secondaries, because pretty much all the kills we have seen came from the SMG-11, the Bearing 9. I don't know if there were any SMG-12s or any other SMGs I might have missed, but those were indications that they are flexible on their defenses, but now they'll have to do the same thing on their attack. I'm not quite sure if this has unlimited overtime or not, because in case the side of Pannuhuone get to keep it to themselves, this is not gonna change too much of a pacing, because again, if it's on maximum unlimited overtime, the winning team needs to make a difference of 2 rounds, otherwise they'll have to just take it to the 8th round, and this is just gonna be over on any given map, or it's gonna favor any sides, a matter of fact. We do get to see a knock this time, so I wanna know. Oh, never mind. It's gonna be shifted to Nomad instead. So a much more. It keeps shifting as if we're back to the OG sixth pick. Even though back in the days, sixth pick used to be applicable for only one operator, but now it's for every single attacking side. While the defenders don't have any choices, so an entire roster swap from the attacking side. But no, Nomad is kind of a oopsie from my end because, mind you, on the same objective, you were able to commit the objective. You were able to open up the walls. You were also able to push around to a post plan. But guess what? It was the runner from the school post which met your end. So what are you gonna be doing about that runner? You can definitely put someone on rappel, but it's still risky. A successful bandage, never mind. It's not gonna be, as Nike S will take a lot of damage from that exothermic charge.
That was a risky play indeed. And Nick AS is going to be just falling back because he knows that if he stays there, he's going to go down very, very quickly indeed. And that, of course, you want to avoid, right? 2 minutes in, and you don't want to lose your very first operator on the defense because Pannuhuone, when they were on the defense, they were 4-2 up on that half. So they desperately want to reclaim some of that glory, some of that momentum. As shots fired, Push Diamond takes a bit of damage right now. Maverick is seen, but manages to escape with his life. Push Diamond is low, but Rastin comes around, and that's going to be one down. That's your Dokubi gone as well. No logic bombs were used so far, and unfortunately for Anarchik, that's going to be no logic bombs used for the remainder of this round. Grenade goes out trying to find one. Lambe finds Lamine on the other side. That's your Thermite gone, and suddenly things are not looking so hot for Make Your Destinies. They've lost 2 bodies for the price of just some scraps of HP as they are now stuck around the tea room area. They're trying to get something, try to cross over into maybe the drum hallway over here. Shots will be fired in just a moment. The moment they see anyone who could get in their way, especially Nifsu here with the shotgun, but he doesn't know someone's in the hallway already. He's got to be careful of the Zofia. Shots are fired. He's stunned now, and the Lion really wants to push this. He's going to go prone, and he's going to get it as well, just about. But mind you, Tilko is low on health. It's a 4v3 with 2 defenders barely clinging on to life. You sneeze and you'll get them, but that is the same case for the Lion. As we have 36 seconds, folks. It's all going to come down to this. It's going to be a bloody scrap fest going in to the site. The execute is going to be quite the disaster for either side, depending on who comes out on top. Final sets of Goya canisters are being used up as Lambe falls. That's a huge one to take care of in this very last moment of the round. And you have Rastin in a very good position. The Fenrir holding the long angle. But wait a minute, do they know?
Oh, no.
They don't. Push Diamond with a great positioning. He's going to get one. Rastin with another. And another one. Peeks around the corner, gets the kill. And guess what? We are far from done, folks. Oh, dear me. Because it is a 7-7. The roles are swapped. And we are back to initial overtime.
That's also a confirmation that we indeed have unlimited overtime after all. So it's not going to be easy for any of these teams to take it away, but then again, this is something we're going to be enjoying quite a lot. Any of these teams need to make sure that they're winning their attack, followed up by their defense, or vice versa, to make sure this map belongs to them. But with a 7-7 scoreline, this may even go all night, and we still have at least one more map to go in case the side of Pannuhuone can take it. Now, with the side of MYD being on defense, there's a very high chance they're going to be able to keep themselves alive, but I do wonder if MV is going to be going for the spawn peaks again. Mind you, they have been doing it for a very consistent amount of rounds. So if they are opting to do that, Pannuhuone might be expecting that, and this time MV might be punished for it. But that is something they'll have to take the gamble on, and I believe they were able to win the first defensive round on 2. Yeah, they were able to take it, so that's why they're also changing the objective. But the attackers, this is where they'll have to kind of redeem themselves, or it's not exactly applicable for the side of Pannuhuone alone, it is also applicable for the side of MYD as well, that if they cannot redeem themselves, if they're consistently winning one round, well, you're just going to be stuck in a programming loop, if I may say, where the error just keeps coming. But for now, the attackers, they do have a standard lineup, including a gridlock as well. So I do want to believe if they will be focusing onto that balcony, because again, last time that's exactly the position where they faltered from. And truth be told, Pannuhuone also used the same angle with the Fenderer to take the last remaining players off the board, even though it was technically not a clutch, but still, at least around confirmation. A Blitz is going to be available to clear out the bottom side in case there are anybody trying to play for C4s, but I don't believe that is applicable. There is a bandit though, so the bug being present there makes a lot of sense. Okay, a little bit more overzealous in my opinion. Didn't need to quite go inside the window as Lambie. He kind of chew more than he can swallow here.
Yep, bit off a bit more than he can chew, and that's going to be one
What
down. Okay, that was just dirty. You didn't need to do Lamine like that. At the end of the day, still, Nick AS getting a good shot. But mind you, they've lost their shielder on the other side of the map as well, as Nifsu has been taken care of. So guess what? No more blitz, as we have the Thermite breaching open that single wall by the desk over there, by the bar desk, I should say. And now, that's a run out you got to be careful of as well, because you've opened up that part of the map, and unless you're holding it, that's somewhere that the defenders can decide, hey, let's go for a little bit of a walk, shall we? And before you know it, you've lost 2 bodies, and yeah, the round's over. But not done yet. We have a push potentially happening. Rastin really wants this. Oh, he really wanted the stairs push, but there was the Mozzie holding it down, and now he's trying to open up vertical just to flush that Mozzie out of that position. He will do so, but that's not what he needs to worry about, as now that position is given away. We have the Mira also contesting the Thermite right now. A whole minute remains. Plenty of time, you would think so, but Push Diamond is so low on health. He's barely got any remaining. And with Rastin taking a bit of damage as well, it's once again looking like Pannuhuone might find themselves a little bit too far down the dumps to make something of this round. 40 seconds. They are taking their sweet time about this.
But they kind of really shouldn't over here, because they kind of need to make haste over here and dive inside the objective. The biggest problem is there's too many angles to worry about as an attacker, but hopefully their reflex does come in. But Push Diamond's super low on HP, so any more engagements are going to be extremely risky. We do see Rastin still holding on to the house stairs, but the problem is the Mozzie was available. So the operators of Operation Burnt Horizon are making their values there, as I say, that MV is going to find that it's all up to the gridlock now with no diffuser available. 11 seconds remaining, and now with single digits on the board, it is going to be Rastin taken out as well. Indeed, it is going to be the defenders who are going to remain to be dominant after all. But as I said, if it keeps to be a tradition, it's not technically going anywhere. So MYD back on defense and match point again. As I said, this is where they'll have to redeem themselves and put themselves on an exceptional level to take this map. Otherwise, Pannuhuone is going to do the exact same thing on their own defense as well, as they previously have mentioned. So, a lot of questions, a lot of factors. We do see a glass as well. So do we get to see... never mind. I was kind of expecting to have a Maverick as well, but I guess that's not going to be the main target. Instead, they're going to be putting the glass to hold on to the karaoke window. So if that's the main priority, I'm okay with it, because you can still cut off a longer line of sight onto karaoke. You can probably engage some fights into the Geisha side, the hallway, and if you're really passionate about it, you can probably go into the T side as well, but mind you, that is incredibly risky because there are half walls inside of T. But the main factor is, of course, you have to make sure you're counting the time, otherwise you may not be able to take the best advantage out of it, even if you have a decent chunk of kills.
And that ultimately is going to come down to how each member of these teams positions themselves, right? Pannuhuone once again in the back foot on their defensive round, and given the fact that they were overtime attack, I think that's really what's throwing them for a loop here, right? As attack rounds on the map of Skyscraper have rarely worked. Out of the 12 regulation rounds we've played so far, I'm not even counting overtime so far, right? Only regulation rounds that we've seen out of the 12, only 4 were won by attacking teams. The remaining 8 went to defenders. That should tell you a big story about how this map is, at least for now, between these two teams, being very defender-sided. And that continues to be true even in overtime, as all the OT rounds that have been won so far have been won by defending sides. Will MYD break that trend? That is the question right now. First gas grenade has already been used up, as we have an MV taking a big kill. That's Lambe off the board. Oh no, that Warden needs to stay alive for as long as possible. But there we go. ADM goes down because Nipsu gets a kill. We had a run out as well from the Tubarao just a second ago. However, whatever they did, it worked. And that Osa, who would have been a very big nuisance with the deployable Talon shields, is no longer in play.
Well, I guess that is also a control loss for the balcony as well, as now the smoke is kind of walking up, even though there is a rappel outside, but that is not a direct line of contact because the person needs to dive in and then keep the engagement. So gotta give credit to the Tubara over here because of his aggression. That is a bit more of a space regained by the defensive side, and looks like they're kind of abandoning the objective as a whole, except for the fact that they are just creating lines of sight with the castle and everything else they have. So I guess the main target is to allow the attackers to come in and then take the fight to them. And if it is, that's a really smart approach because think about it, all the objectives which are available now has lines of sight and technically 0 to none safe haven for the attackers to plant in. I mean, for example, there are no rotations on the black stairs either because they know if anybody takes control of the stairs, they're simply going to be able to walk inside the objective. The only reinforcement inside the objective is on the single wall. There is just one solo wall onto the onto karaoke and maybe NT as well, but they're actually there to cover the defenders, and they're not very much safe to plan because even on those angles, you have angles from Geisha, you have angles from the doorways and whatnot. It looks like the attackers are still able to keep themselves up over here because the Tubarao didn't need to go for a peak like that. Kind of a wide swing if you ask me, but at the same time, defenders able to retaliate in some teammates with 30 seconds from the clock. The fuse is still in hand, but they need to find the frags first because through the side of T-Room, they're contesting the side of karaoke. And now this is going to be a challenge for them. There is no Lion scans available to keep the defenders at bay. And now they're taking damage as well. The defenders are just making sure the the Grim is not having any safe space whatsoever. But in the end, he will find one frag, but it is going to be the quick succession of the defenders leading the players up and not allowing the flexibility to come whatsoever. 8-8 again. And ladies and gentlemen, the match point factor we had is completely out of the window again. MYD needs to win the defense again, which is also applicable for the side of Pannuhuone.
8-8 is the scoreline in play right now, folks. We are seeing this game go from strength to strength to strength, and that is definitely going to be a long one as well. First floor barbecue and kitchen, the site of choice this time around from the defending team of Make Your Destiny. And this might be the round that maybe changes the trend. Defensive rounds are what has made this entire game tick so far. And that is what we are seeing for both MYD and Pannuhuone. Pannuhuone, when they were on the attack in regulation in the second half, they did manage to win one round on first floor kitchen. That was round number 12, and it came all the way down to the 1v1. They didn't even get the chance to plant. So where do you really go from here? That is the million-dollar question right now. And in the meanwhile, we have ourselves this defense, which requires, of course, the extended roam above for the entire defense team to be actively participating in, or most of them at the very least. You've got the lines of sight up on mid stairs. You've got the rotations that are being made around the site towards the counter and reception area. You've got your roamers, you've got the pulse in play once again, and of course that just means more room for these defenders to maneuver. On the other side, I gotta say, Pannuhuone, you better be keeping your bodies in check because every single attack round there has been one early loss, and the one time you didn't lose it early, the one time you didn't lose someone like Lambi or Rastin or Nifsu early on, you were able to take that round. That was round number 12. So can they do it again?
Have to do it again actually because they don't have much choices over here in overtime, because otherwise this is something which is gonna go round and round, and it may even be frustrating for them down the line. So this is where they can put themselves back up and keep themselves motivated and probably move into the third as well. It applies again to both of these teams, but as of now, looks like the attackers, they're kind of focused on the restaurant push now, which is kind of appreciable because they can keep a lot of angles in check. For example, the storage side and also the the restaurant side, to make sure the defenders are making sure that they are not playing in these areas or just falling back to the objective. And in case they are falling back to the objective, they can focus on the verticals. But At the same time, the verticals needs to be taken care of quickly as well because there are defenders who are holding onto these particular areas. And now with the confirmation,
Ooh.
we will be seeing ADM going for a jump. I was expecting him to go down, but it's gonna be the other way around. Lambie is already down 6 feet under. We do get to see the Valkyrie being low on HP, but it's gonna be Energy taking advantage of the unaware Monty. And now with the glass, yeah, he's still very much alive, but there's nobody to be seen through the smoke grenades. May even take a little bit of damage through the smoke cloud, but instead it's gonna be the bullets of Tilko who will be catching him off guard. On the other side of the spectrum, we do get to see 2 kills coming in from the side of the attackers, but guess what? It is again a repetition of history. It is a 2v3, still very much doable, but you need to find the frags, but you need to find the openings, but looks like it's gonna be much more complicated than we expected. It's all over the ace in a 1v2. There is one player inside of T, as I do believe, yeah, there is one, as I can get to see the silhouettes, but that's just one kill. And after that, you need to find the Valkyrie as well. I think it was the Valkyrie, not the smoke.
At the moment, it's all down to Nick AS. He's got 20 seconds to get something going here for the team. If he's able to somehow clutch this out, then his name will go down in the history of the EON League as he's trying to go for a kill. He knows he needs it, but he's also going to try and go for the plant. C4 is going to go out. Will that find him? No, it doesn't. He moves out just in time. 6 seconds remaining. He sees the head. He's going to try and go for this, but he's going to get taken off the board. ADM will be the one to finish him off. And guess what? We are not done, not by a long shot, because once again, MYD, make your destiny. They are now 9-8, once again back on overtime match point. And yeah, this is this just for context for folks who might be joining us just now or who might be looking at this from like, how long is this game going for? Well, this is the 6th round of overtime that we are seeing here, folks. 9-8. In terms of just pure statistics, we are now in round number 19. Wait, is it 19? Actually, no, round number 18 is in play.
Well, we're technically halfway there to make it a double map as well. So make it, why not just keep on going as well? So there's a very high chance which may remain true to the remainder of the game as well. But for now, MYD, they're going to be really desperate to win this attack. It is the first time we're getting to see a bathroom and I forgot the objective name, a VIP, I think, defense. So truth be told, this is going to be a little bit more unique in my opinion. So MYD may not even be, they should have the flexibility because of the verticalities, but at the same time, they may not even have the preparation because truth be told, most of the times the attackers, they're just taken out by sheer surprise. And yeah, you better be ready for it, otherwise you're gonna be the one who is going to be on the very bottom of the barrel. For now, the Valkyrie is having an exploration to see exactly where she wants to deploy the black eye. Somehow we have a gadget which almost mimics a name of a skin as well. Also, somehow we have 2 gadgets actually, which has the term eye because there's the evil eye, the black eye. I don't know if there is anything else which can be transcribed in the same way, but anywho, we do get to see the attackers showing some presence onto the kitchen, outside the kitchen side. So are they going to be starting their push from Geisha? So if they are, they better make haste because you can't have control of Geisha here, Blackjack, but taking control of Tycho, then going for Office, yeah, that's going to be a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely. You want that top floor control as soon as possible. There we go. Cam's going to spot one of them, and I do believe that's the Lion on the other side of the map here, as MV has to be careful about this. Drone will see where the bandit is, and he is really flirting with danger, playing around that laundry entrance right about now, as he's just going to hold this down for himself. Going to jump back in the bathroom. We have this top floor angle being watched and beautifully done between Nick AS and Push Diamond as they get 2 huge bodies to drop right now. Lamine and MV on the floor and an Archik now the next one on the chopping block. That is to say, if Nick AS has anything to say about this, shots have been fired and we are now in a 3v5 situation Where will this game go from here? That is the question. As now, there we go. ADM will fall, and slowly but surely, it's looking like we might be 9-9 going, folks. This game is not going to end anytime soon. And that one tuna sandwich I got for myself is going to be cold and rocky by the time I get to it. But it'll be worth it at the end of the day. As now, we have these two, Ace and Nomad, trying to get something going on the top floor. You've got a little breach happening on the drum wall as they are just trying to get something, positioning, maybe an aggressive play on one of these top floor players. But guess what? Here's the 2-1 coming in. Actually, it's the Legion who gets one, and Push Diamond gets taken off the board. But that's only one in this moment. And it's all down to an Archik with the 1v4, and all he can really do is peek around the corner and get taken out for his trouble. Pannuhuone will take round 18, and guess what? We are reset once again in the overtime. Round 19 is now in play.
Boy, oh boy. It's probably gonna be a moment where we get to see round 24 as well, I believe, because that's exactly when we're gonna be on an equivalence of having 2 games back to back. But it's just map number 2, just happening for a very long time. But for now, MYD back again on their defense, going to T room, and this is kind of surprising to me because I kind of expected MYD to have a little bit more flexibility on the attack of toilet and bedroom, but instead it was completely the other way around as they couldn't find the opening. And I guess Pannuhuone, they're also going to be showing some desperations now, because now even they know at this point that if they happen to win the attacking round, this is going to be GG's for them in case the side of MYD can hold on to their attacks. So it's a lot of teeny tiny bits they'll have to work with. And of course, it's going to be tiring as well as the time goes on, because the attackers are not able to find anything whatsoever. We do get to see the shields every now and then, Nifso picking up the blitz once again. So is it going to remain identical that the blitz is not going to be having any more backups? But I do believe this time it's going to be an exception, because now they're starting to realize that the attackers are not on the best of the books here, but you really got to work with it, and you really got to put yourself on top of the food chain here, if I might. Sadly for any of the teams, they're just having this double-crossing moment where they don't even know which direction to take. Well, this is just me beating on the bush, truth be told. MV again trying to be aggressive, may be able to find something. Never mind, he will not be seeing it because the player just climbed onto the roof instead. But I gotta admit, the Legion being so goddamn aggressive and also finds the first one onto the Dokkaebi. And as you said, Blackjack, it's usually the Legion, or should I say MV and Rastion, having a show off, and most of the time it's just MV coming up on top.
It really has just been one of those cases, right? It's either MV or very rarely Lamine, or sometimes even Tilko, who like to go for that early kill, who like to get that initial play. And every single time, it's either Raston or Lambie who falls. Every now and again has been NKS, but that's really been the case for those two players. And this time, guess what? It's a Dokkaebi who just fell. So because it's a Dokkaebi who's been taken off the board, well, now you don't have any more global logic bombs. And now with NKS falling, you no longer have access to those Ash charges, right? Now, it's a 3v5. And we have been in this situation 19 times before, as we have the Blitz really pushing hard right now with someone behind him. And that's going to be a flash and dash on one. At least Nifsu is able to get ADM off the board, but can they get anything more off of that? Not quite. They choose to pull back just a little bit. And we have ourselves 3v4 situation as a minute 15 on the clock. All they need to do, Pannuhuone, I should say, they just need to breathe. You're in a bad position. Understandable. You don't want to lose any more bodies. Understandable. However, you cannot give away these early picks. And that is the reason you keep finding yourself in these positions. We have the RCE drone from the Flores coming in, opening up a little bit more of that wall right there. It's going to do no damage to the smoke. Just keep him in the back foot, but an Archik will fall. And now it's a 3v3 situation. 40 seconds remaining. You got to get in there. You got to get in now. The smoke with the shotgun is the one you need to worry about, as we have the smoke grenades coming in. And he's going to try for the plant. Lambie gets one, but will they be able to go for the plant? They just need to cover this, and they will try to. Lamine is the only one in the site. He's going to try and do something about this, but The plant is on the floor. It's now a 2v1 situation, technically speaking, because MV is bleeding out right now. All they need to do is protect the diffuser. All they need to do is make sure that there is no counter diffusal. 26 seconds. We just need this to go the way of Pannuhuone, if possible at all. Flashbang will not go out. The second one will not go out. They've got the down, and will it be a diffusal? No, it won't! Lambien Push Diamond managed it just in time. I think the smoke got down before we could see it. And guess what? For the first time in overtime, for this map number 2, Pannuhuone has won an attack round. They are now 10-9. What a time to go to overtime match point, because they are now on the defense, folks.
Now they're going to be having the entire world benefiting them and favoring them as well. MYD up against the wall. This is something they were not ready for, and now they are kind of scratching their back here, but this is not time for them to do so. They'll have to push everything they have and to keep them alive. That one cover from the side of the floors was so detrimental. They just couldn't hang on to it. And of course, at the same time, going for the flashes as well, even though the flashes, I think, were not very effective. The Flores' free fire was enough to put the smoke out of his misery. Sadly for them, they just couldn't keep it up, even though the fact that they were able to keep some manpowers alive. The attackers, now they understand that they can play with their opposition's minds, and now Pannuhuone is on the brink of shattering the dreams of making their destinies. That was unintended pun, by the way, but MYD, this is where they'll have to redeem themselves. They'll have to put everything they have, keep themselves alive, and that's just one way they can keep themselves afloat, because it's not favoring them any means necessary. All they can do over here is just push it to another reset of overtime, and then maybe, just maybe, push to their own overtime. But after that, again, they have to win their attacking side as well, which Pannuhuone has already done. A lot of pressure, a lot of difficulties here, but if you keep thinking about it, but just don't act about it, there's not much you can do. But then again, you cannot ignore the inevitable. Now the attackers trying to level best to take the openings on the map control, but looks like there is going to be some aggressions on the defensive side as well, as they will be tossing in the grenades and everything else to destroy the utilities, to burn any form of chances of aggression from the side of the Fenrir. But even then, FNATs are still pretty much available, and he's going to activate it onto the balcony.
There we go. FNAT's out. That's Rastin doing his play as he always does. Those FNATs are really good in these moments to just take position. But right now, pushed Diamond. The drone is right there. It's going to give away his position. He already took a bit of damage right now. But the Goyo is meant to be playing a little bit on this forward position. And given the fact that they have over 1 minute and 45 still remaining, MYD has plenty of time to just go for the play that they need to go for, that they want to go for. And you can see that someone is on the balcony as well. Run out on the other side as Rastin's going to get MV. That's a big drop. The Maverick gone, but more importantly, one of the forward gunners of MYD is gone. Will they get another? Yes.
Nice
Nikkei
shot.
comes around to ADM, and now it's a 5v3. We are now as close as we're going to get. Pannuhuone, they are in the lead. All they need to do is not lose these body counts. No, oh my goodness, that peak was a little unnecessary, I do believe, as Tilko will take the revenge kill onto Nifsu. One down, the Warden is on the floor. And we still have, wait a minute, when did Striker get down? I'm not sure, but he's going to get picked back up at the moment because he's safe just about. No one's going to peek that breach at the moment. Here comes the drone that's going to go all the way into Terrace Room, and that, of course, is just going to allow a little bit more space for these attackers. 40 seconds remaining. And MYD, they know what they need to do. Calm down. Take this moment. Breathe in your next strategy. And Archek, very low on HP. Lamine as well, low on health. 30 seconds remain, as looks like it's going to be a two-sided push. 2 from the Dragon side, Dragon Terrace and entry, and 1 out here on the window, trying to catch anybody on the roam, on maybe a flank or some sort of rotate. as we now are here. 15 seconds remaining. It's about to go down. It really is. The canister has been popped. The go canister, that's going to stop them from getting in. 8 seconds, 7 remaining.
Sure.
One head is popped, but Push Diamond comes in, gets Tilgo. There's the Nomad on the floor. It's all down to the striker. Who's going to fall? And Pannuhuone, after quite the game, a knuckle-dragging bar fight of a match, are going to win round number 20 and make it 11-9 in their favor. They take Skyscraper, which was the pick from the side of Make Your Destiny, and they make it their own. They are 11-9 and 2-0 on the map count.
That is a devastating of a blow, to be told, because MYD had a really... They actually had the map for themselves, but eventually it became to overtime, and then on overtime they faltered. And that must be frustrating for their side, but sadly it's gonna be the side of Pannuhuone, who are gonna be a bit more, how do I say it? Consistent, or should I say determined? Exactly, determined on their own approaches, and that's exactly how they're gonna go that extra mile to solidify the second map as well. As I said, it could have gone days, it could have gone nights that we were playing the map of Skyscraper, but in the end, that one determination, that one extra effort to take control of Tea Room was the make it or break it for them, and they were able to make it. Good God. And now they're also sitting on, they're technically also sitting on championship point as well. Now it's gonna be MYD sitting on a much more of a rough position, but I think we need some insights as well from the side of Aggressive, so we're gonna be bringing him on the board so we can have an insight from his side.
Hey! Aggressive. Can we? I don't know if we can hear you.
We can hear. I think I can hear him though.
No. I think you need to refresh your link right there, Aggressive. It might be that you're echoing from somewhere that's not the stream, part of the. Yeah, there he goes. All right.
He's frozen. Look at him.
Oh dear me. All right. Minor hiccups here, folks. Minor hiccups here. We're getting him back.
There you go. He's back.
I think so.
There we go. Okay, yeah, we can hear you now. All
Okay,
right.
now, a little bit of a surprise here. And I'm pretty sure that MYD broke my microphone for that one. I had to rejoin the entire thing because they are not happy about that. Goddamn 20 rounds, mind you. 20 goddamn rounds of this insanity that doesn't make any sense. This should not have happened, right? It was an incredible startup to this entire series. From the very beginning up till the very end, you could tell that the storyline was set in the favor of Pannuhuone. Pannuhuone, they are the ones that should win this, right? This is their revenge story, but MYD just didn't want to give it to them. They fought tooth and nail up till the very end. I have never seen this many rounds of Siege. I'm pretty sure Jack and Krishna, you have more experience on this than me. What's the maximum amount of overtime rounds that you've seen when it's infinite OT?
Oh my goodness.
22,
Are
I
you?
think, on the invitationals?
Yeah, I think we got really close to that one. I think it was who was it? I think it was G2 versus. It was a couple of years ago
Empire.
at this point. G2, yeah, G2 Empire. I think they went up to 22 or 23 rounds of overtime. So we got close.
Very close. It would have gone the distance too. You saw, it came down to a 3v2 situation right at the very end on that attack side. And the flash was not in their favor. They flashed themselves because of the Wamai magnets. And somehow they went in for the spray and got 2 kills. That is just insane that Pannuhuone, the stars aligned for them for that attack side win, because it shouldn't have been the case. Skyscraper is infamously one of those maps that people hate to play on infinite overtime for this very reason. That's why any team that sees infinite overtime in that rulebook, they're instant nope, we're not playing Skyscraper. It doesn't matter what happens, you just insta-ban this map, and I'll go to any other. I'll take Lair any day of the week rather than playing this one.
Oh boy, indeed, aggressive. I do agree with you there, but at the same time, this is something they kind of caught themselves in. But now I think you both of you are going to be agreeing with me that consulate is something MYD will do every single thing to keep themselves alive. And I think they also heard aggressive because Lair is also in the map pool. But in order to see Lair in the play, MYD needs to put all the cylinders on maximum overdrive, like Mr. Plank, to take it for themselves on the map of Consulate. So that's gonna be my take here, Blackjack.
Oh, well, you know what? I actually agree with that in the sense of Make Your Destiny is going to be fighting tooth and nail when we get to Consonant, right? Map number 3 is crucial for them because with Pannuhuone winning map 2, now we are in a situation where the map advantage and the map point is in their favor, right? The moment they get to a 6 something scoreline on Consulate, it is almost pretty much Jover for them. That is Make Your Destiny, right? And that is something that they will desperately want to avoid. They'll want to get to that match point first. They will want to get anything going their way because all that momentum that they had built up in the second in the second half of Skyscraper, excuse me, that was completely slashed in overtime because it was round, round win, round loss, round win, round loss, round win, round loss, back and forth and back and forth. And yeah, that's also why Skyscraper, if you have Infinite OT in the rulebook, folks, please don't pick Skyscraper. I'm just kidding. It was a great game with all that said. But with all that said, both myself and Cresta are going to be, taking a little bit of a breather. Our throats definitely needed. And aggressive, over to you.
Thank you for that one. And good God, like, ladies and gentlemen, we had an incredible storyline being set for this game in particular. But what I really am going to be surprised about a little bit more is what could be expected coming out from them moving forward in that third map. Because don't forget, Pannuhuone, they've already won out on the first one, they've won out on the second as well. So here is where they really need to set their foot down and be like, hey, we want to end this on a 3-0. We don't want another maximum overtime, not even maximum overtime, infinite overtime that would go to the arguably the max that we have seen in the history of Siege in the competitive side. So for now, though, we're going to let the teams rest a little bit, think about what's happening on the map of Consulate, and we're going to be back with you real shortly with a lot more R6 action for the EON League.
separates your shadows from my soul as these walls begin to fold. Head lost in the silence, cold stars illuminate the secrets on your tongue and the poison in my lungs. Where every passage ends, a new road begins. The further I descend, your labyrinth. Blind eyes in the darkness, frail hands reaching out, sword echoes in the smoke as the doors behind me close. No cure for the madness, each turn tangled in the fear of losing sight of the slowly fading light. Where every passage ends, a new road begins. The further I
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, for the EON League after a very, I would say, grueling map number 2 with overtime after overtime coming in, and it's going to keep on going. The players wanted infinite overtime all the way through. We are doing infinite overtime all the way through. The game is just going to keep on rolling, ladies and gentlemen. And the players, they're going to be happy, but we on the other side, we are going to be crying. That is for certain. And I'm pretty sure that my two boys in the background, they're going to be crying as well. But before we go on over onto them, just a quick recap. Map number 1 was a victory coming in from Pannuhuone, and map number 2 was also a victory from them on a 9-11 scoreline on the map of Skyscraper. We're going to be heading on down over into Consulate to see whether the storyline is going to be favoring Pannuhuone, who take a 3-0 victory to take the revenge story up against the members of MYD, or will it be MYD going in for a reverse sweep? Casters, take it away.
All right.
Well, you take it.
Yep. We have quite the beginning to this map number 3. Quite the story between both of these teams. I'll tell you what. Myself, of course, your host Blackjack, joining me is my co-host Cresto, as we are now ready almost for map number 3 as Pannuhuone 2-0 up going into Consulate, which is their map pick, mind you. And boy, howdy, this is going to be quite the game. So, Cresto, before we get into it, and we're going to get into it very quickly, what do you think? What are we to expect when it comes to map 3?
I'm kind of damn sure the side of MYD is gonna pull all the abilities they have to make this one happen, because now they're back against the wall. And in my opinion, they should. And the best way to start things out is starting with the attacking side, or should I say, to fix the time management of their attacking side, which also will apply to the side of Pannuhuone as well. But now, considering the fact that MYD is technically on the brink of losing it all, this is where they'll have to redeem themselves. And truth be told, it is Consulate, so I do be expecting a lot of repels, a lot of yings as well. So there might be a chance the ying will be banned as well. So a lot of factors, but these are just factors they'll have to take head on. But for now, as this is match point, map point, and championship for the side of Pannuhuone, and technically lose it off the side of MYD. Apologies for my Finnish and French. So MYD, towards MYD, Tumevu, and for the side of Pannuhuone, Kaikava, which both means best of luck. Again, I'm damn sure I butchered it as a person who lives in Germany, but anywho, it is going to be the third map. MYD is going to be starting things off on defense, Pannuhuone on attack.
We've got our first bands coming in for this map of Consulate here, folks. It's going to be Blackbeard and Kaid to start things off. And yeah, totally understandable on this map. Blackbeard is one of those nuisances you don't want to deal with. Montaigne and Clash on the other side. It's a Shielder's Day. That is for certain. And we have ourselves now a situation where both teams will have to be playing without a couple of those dedicated shield ops. Blackbeard and Monty banned, which means that Pannuhuone's attack will not be able to have too much other than a blitz remaining. And I say other than a blitz, as if blitz is like the worst option. He is not. I'll tell you that much. But I think they would have preferred having Montaigne in some
It's a layer,
situations, or
actually,
even
never mind.
Blackbeard in other situations. Okay. Was the third map? Give me just a sec. Actually, no, it was. No. Never mind. We got a bit ahead of ourselves. So, massive apologies, folks. It is not Consulate. It is actually Lair, and I did actually consult my notes. It was Lair from the very beginning. We were just thinking so far ahead that Consulate was going to be in play that we were like, oh yeah, Consulate, right? But no, Consulate is map number 4, and we don't know if map 4 is going to be in play yet or not. So, apologies from our end here at the caster's desk. But it is Lair, and we're getting into it right now. And it is round number 1. Of course, site is on the second floor. You have your usual setups here with your mid jammer on the main stairs with a barbed wire spawn peak here. Oh, dear me. Lambe once again coming very close to getting taken off the board to start us off on this map. And I'll tell you what, Lambe probably wouldn't have been very happy about that.
Well, at least he's happy with the fact that he is alive after all. And I guess we quite have not recovered from that last map either because of the maximum so deep into overtime after all. But anywho, for the time being, MYD able to keep themselves in a pretty solid position, able to destroy some drones as well. As there's an insane amount of utility on the main stairs. I do believe there's going to be some focus from the window hallway. I think it's called R6 hallway. I forgot for a second. So if there are, that's going to be an unorthodox push in my opinion, because a lot of teams do start things off from the operational room, but truth be told, there's no compression of the defensive side onto the operational side, which is a kind of a bummer because a lot of teams will usually open this wall up and then go for the breach onto mask room, then go for the plant. So if you can hold them on for a couple of minutes even, you will have a lot of flexibility. For the time being, however, it's going to be Jaeger able to find something nice shots from the side of Nipsu onto Anarchik, as they will have an equalization include. That was your Azami as well. Not sure if there were any leftover Kiba berries in her pocket, because if it was, that's not going to be applicable anymore. ADM able to find Raston, so MYD is making sure that they are keeping themselves on the driver's seat, at least on the defensive side. Jaeger is gonna be going hyper aggressive all the way, as the Ace was not ready for the hyper peak coming in from the Jaeger, and now Capitao and the Sims will have to make a near impossible push because they don't have the diffusion, they don't have the best of the angles, and they're really miles apart to refrag each other in case things go down. And now with 1 minute left on the clock, it's gonna be a challenge to say the very least.
Oh, you said it right there, Cresto. It is a challenge and a half right now. As you can see, Push Diamond really wants to go for a peek, and he's got the info on where that Jaeger's been peeking from. Smoke Bolt goes out, and he's going to go for his peek right now. We have the RU projector bouncing a little weirdly right there. And there you go, shots fired right through it. And that's going to be the Jaeger taken off the board. Beautifully done. Camera will be blinded, and now, wait a minute, someone's pushed out into the hallway, and it's going to be a cross between Tilko and ADM, who will manage to get that final kill. Little bit of a scuff session there from the defenders to get those final 2 bodies, but they were able to hold it down and get that first round. MYD, that is. Now, of course, that's nothing different compared to the last 2 maps. MYD have almost always gotten the first map for themselves, and not the first map. If they got the first map, we'd be having a very different story right now. They've almost always gotten the first round for themselves, but the second round usually has gone to Pannuhuone. Will that be the case? Let's find out as we move to Basement Labs.
Well, there was an incredible defense from their side, but I do point something out. That is, usually you see a lot of Warden players tend to forget they're playing Warden, just like Rook players tend to forget that they're playing Rook. For example, you always forget to put down the Rook armor. And when it comes to Warden, you tend to forget that you can see through smokes. It was kind of funny for me to think that the Warden pushed outside of the curtains of the ROE but not using the glasses he had. I mean, it happens to the best of us, and
10 seconds left.
Oh, trust
yeah,
me,
that
I
that
am.
happened. But
Yeah, no, I am
exactly,
side-eyeing that one ranked Doc teammate right now who, tends to forget he's Doc. Goes off, spawn peaks, and dies. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about.
exactly. Not to mention, most of the time, I don't know if it happens nowadays, but back in the day, there used to be a moment where you asked for a stim for a dog, but instead you used to receive a revolver bullet to your head.
Yes,
As if,
I remember.
I mean, I've been a victim to that several times. For the time
Hmm.
being, the attackers, they don't want those things to repeat. I mean, sorry, the defenders don't want those to repeat, but the attackers wants to make sure that they are on top of this now. They are going to be able to take some control onto the electrical locker side, but then again, with the blitz being available, I think pushing rocket is going to be a better idea, and I guess they are opting to do that because Dingy is going to be lost instantaneously. The defenders, they do have a good control on the top floor, but the problem is if the attackers tend to push onto the rocket side, there's not much the defenders can do because those are solid floors. And if they have rocket control, it's just a matter of seconds that labs fall. And looks like that's exactly what's going to be happening here. Lamb be able to get rid of one, but he's going to refract instantaneously as we will be seeing ADM appreciating the shots, but the Legion will not let that go unpunished. Again, we will be seeing the sense coming out. So it does feel like the attackers are focusing a lot on those lines of sight being blocked. So that is definitely going to be putting a lot of pressure on the defensive side to play a Warden. Nice, disgusting angle actually onto the split side, but no kill confirmations yet. Naves will be tossing in the wrong direction.
Oh no! Oh
no! Blitz is gonna be so pissed about it.
That is not how you want that moment to happen. You've got 1:20 remaining and you have to pick the blitz back up who's bleeding out of the floor, but you are sitting right next to where the defenders are holding. Missile Hallway is such a high traffic, high bullet zone that picking up is going to be so difficult. They managed to do it just about. And mind you, there's still a Scopos in play who's far off in the map. Actually, never mind. He goes down. The moment I say his name, that Scopos goes off the board. Nifsu takes that kill. Happily so. C4 is ready, and Tilko has a really good position here behind the desk. No way for his feet to get, found and shot at, as we have a little bit moment of calm here. 40 seconds remaining. C4 goes out, and it's been pre-placed now, effectively, because it hasn't been blown up. The attackers still haven't been able to get a whole lot of entryway. C4 gets blown up, but it's not going to find anyone, but the bullets do. Tilko gets one. That's Rastin off the board. 25 seconds. That's all they have left. And I'm not sure what that toss was for that RU projector, but it was an attempted toss nonetheless. Do they know, actually? I think they do. Yeah, the Legion's going to come around to peek that. Oh, dear me. Push Diamond. He's going for it. He might actually get shot if he's not careful about now. Shots are about to be fired, and there we go. Lamine and Tilko come around, get those final 2 kills, and it's going to be Make Your Destiny who get that early 2-0.
They're able to pull this off, and they're able to keep themselves alive as well. The mute should not have survived in the side of Split over there because there was a huge risk for him, but eventually he was able to pull himself off, and now MYD is the one who's actually dictating the pace of the game. Pannuhuone, not a bad attempt, but seems like the blockages of the angles are not being the best utilization here as they are not able to pull this off, but as of now, it's still 2 rounds to go. And they should be just fine on the coming rounds. For the time being, however, the defenders will be opting to go for a armory. Sorry, it's a bunk defense. So I would say this is a bit more preferable from my view because a lot of times you can have a lot more vertical angles above because if you happen to go for an armory defense, once minigun, or should I say, the operation falls, you don't have much retaliation against the attackers because they can simply take control of operational with one single boogie deployed on the operational door, and instantly everything you have or every single thing you might have planned to play is going to be taken off the board. We do have a maestro this time, so we will be having a little bit more of a different approach this time from the defenders. So I kind of believe that they want the attackers to breach the central wall onto that bunk side and then maybe go for the maestro's evil eyes to deny the plans. But I also kind of want to know if the maestro is going to be playing offside or not. The attackers, they're kind of keeping the exact same tradition as they were here, keeping the sense. I'm not saying that sense is not coming in handy, but to some degrees, I kind of feel like that if they had a Capitao, for example, at least they would have been able to use those smoked, if I might, a bit more flexibly. And the biggest question is, hey, if you're playing a sense, why are you not playing a glass? Because think of, oh, never mind. I don't think glass can see through those ROE anymore, which may also apply to the warden as well. I'm not sure if it is. I actually forgot about it, Blackjack.
Yeah, no, you've got me stumped there as well. I can't remember if they made that change to both Warden and Glass, or was it just to Glass? Because I know that Glass can't see through RUs anymore. Here we go. Flashbangs are out, and that's going to force the defender Lamine back here, the Legion. So he's got to fall back to a much safer position because that second floor is about to get contested as Lambe holding a good position here. He's going to
Nice
get the kill
shot.
this time. Lamine falls, and this is a bit of a revenge kill when you really think about it for Lambe as well, because Lamine in the previous map, I should say, was constantly taking Lambe off the board with those early kills, right? So now a little bit of a return fire, and here we go. More grenades are being thrown in towards the A-bomb site. They want to get in there. They want to get in there badly. But guess what? Nick AS gets another one. That's Tilko off the board. And now, with two defenders down, a little bit of a better position is being taken by Pannuhuone. But they still have to get in the site, and they still have to be careful about the vertical lines of sight. They haven't actually fully cleared that. They know that those sites exist. And now, with Rastin making the entryway here, they just need a body or two to fall, maybe taking down an Archik or definitely, MV, because
They're jammed.
Oh, dear me. Yeah, wait, they do have a mute, right? No, they don't have a mute.
What the hell?
The ROUs are not active. I think you might have turned them off before you can
Operation
throw
Hell.
them, right? No, I think
they
you can
do
actually. Right?
Oh wait, I think yeah, you can disable them, right? Or
Yeah,
is it?
yeah, you can disable them. I just don't know if you disable them before you throw them, but we'll do that for science later. Right now, the plant has happened because the sense went in and Rastin has gotten the diffuser on the floor. 30 seconds remain.
Looks like the defenders were kind of overzealous, playing offside quite a lot, playing for the verticals, but now they're going to be punished for it as they have left the objective. All the defensive lines they had, including, except for the Maestro, actually, will not be surviving anytime now. Pannuhuone is going to be able to take the full control of the objective. That's Maestro being the last player surviving. Angles are going to be there. And sadly, no plan denials either for the side of Maestro. So Pannuhuone will be able to take the first round on their attack finally. But at the same time, MYD can be given some slack over here. They can say that, okay, that was an objective we were not very comfortable with, because most of the times people will prefer to play the top floor and the bottom floor, or should I say the basement, because it does offer you a lot more retaliation as a defender. When it comes to the ground floor objectives, you usually don't have much choices because you have to take control or take care of the verticals and at the same time be aware of the objective as well. The main problem for the previous objective was that you have to take head-on fights after the breach goes down on the central area. While on the other side of the spectrum, if you happen to go for armory, you may struggle a bit because of the fact that a single solo ram boogie drone, if I may add to it, will take control of operational even without the attackers taking control of the room itself, because you just deploy one on the barricade and guess what? It's gonna take everything along with it. And yeah, you can probably contest the attackers from the hallway of operational, but even then that's a big question mark because of the window being available on the operational side and whatnot. So MYD able to go back to the R6 room and mass room, I believe. They should be able to go for a better defense, and not to mention they were kind of furious on this particular objective, especially with the hold onto the stairway. So the attackers, they are able to bring some changes up this time. I do appreciate the floors being brought up because now you can destroy the lines of sight which has been deployed by the defenders. In fact, you can also clear out the ADSs or any other utility that defenders might be hunkering onto, and the floors becomes much more stronger considering the fact that there are no mutes available from the defensive side.
And that's going to be one of the things that MYD is going to be feeling right now. Lamine falls, and that's going to be Pushed Diamond taking that kill, that mute, falling right by this front window. Or sorry, the smoke falling right by this front window. And oh, nearly had a second one right there at the capital because there is somebody, I believe the Malusi, peeking that hallway really, really hard. Or trying to, at the very least. We've got the entry here all the way onto operational, and so that control has been taken. the ace will get that, not defuse, excuse me, the breach going. Now it is up to this hallway control to keep things in hand. There's a Jaeger playing around there, and he might want to go for a peek. If he does, yes, he does. He might try to go for this headshot right now. We have the grenades going out as well. That's going to force him back a little bit. Shots fired, and ADM's going to be the one to get pushed down, and that's a refrag as well. Beautifully done to get one back. Right now, still 2-1, mind you. MYD are still the ones in the lead. And now with the Jaeger's position given away to Flores as well, they want to push up and maybe take him off that main stairs, because you need to. This Jaeger, the longer he holds main stairs, the harder it's going to be to get a leeway into sight. But with a minute and 20 remaining, well, Pannuhuone, they're going to have to start thinking about this fast.
We'll have to. Now with the clock coming down as well, we'll have to make sure that they take control of the hallway, but somehow they have not found any success yet. I understand that they are a bit worried about the Jaeger being present on the window, on the hallway, because he can definitely destroy the ace charge, and probably that's going to be the applicable one. But at the same time, the Flores has flashbangs, has utilities to burn and push the player, but somehow they are going to be leaving the objective, sorry, the diffuser in minigun, and that is not going to be looking good at all. It's going to be all up to Rastin in a 1v4 situation. Does not have diffuser, does not have time either, and needs to find the 4 kills. That's going to be near impossible to say at the very least. And this is I don't know if this is the first time, but this is the time at least he gets to take control of the build, or take entry inside the building for the time being. And looks like the defenders, they have abandoned the ship as a whole, as they know they have found the treasure chest. There is nobody aboard, Captain. And looks like there's just one pirate aboard, and he will make sure that no pirateers take control of the Black Pearl, as the defenders will keep the momentum rumbling in their favor. 3-1, and looks like they're not going to be showing any forms of stopping. I mean, understandable, because they want to take this map desperately to push to the 4th map, and eventually maybe to the 5th as well.
3-1. The scoreline is looking more and more dangerous for Pannuhuone right now, because again, they are the ones 2-0 up on the map count. If they lose this map, which again is their pick, then we're going to have a little bit of a moment of panic potentially for that team, because they need to start sounding those alarms. Again, when you're really in this 2-0 situation, right, and you've got yourself so much of an advantage, I think the mentality for most teams would be that, hey, let's try and close this out. We've got this map pick, and we can probably, turn this into a full 3-0 win. However, there's always the case of, because we went 20 rounds of overtime in the previous map, right? It could also be a case of, losing steam just a little bit. Pannuhuone does definitely seem a little bit on the tired side, though I don't want to necessarily say like fully 100% commit to that, because it might just be a case of they're still trying to figure out what MYD is trying to do on this map, which is totally valid. However, whatever that may be, whatever that overall analysis might be, they better get this done quick. Right now, the ideal situation for them would be to equalize 3-3 in this half, and then go into round number 7 with a fresh mind.
Seems like they're going to be focusing a lot on that, as it seems, but the attackers, they're kind of lost here, because they are opening multiple angles, but not quite committing to any of those. But I guess it is going to be the defenders who are going to be much more hungrier here and just give away heads, but at least they are able to take the retaliations back. Or maybe they just committed to make sure that Lambie is having a bad day, because most of the time, if there is a first blood, it is Lambie, or as you said, it is probably Rastin, who goes down. Now, with the Melusi being sorted out, at least they have confirmation, but I don't know if there's going to be any form of hunts, because nobody's following that drone except for the ace, who knows exactly where this Melusi might be, but he's double dotting himself. He's not looking at the correct angle, and if the Melusi here's the footstep of the ace, that's going to be a huge one, considering the fact that there is also the diffuser, but instead it's going to be the ace who's going to come up on top. Adam's there. Not going to be surviving that, but still, the time is slowly ticking as the defenders are starting to fall back to the objective. The attackers are yet to make sure where they want to push. I do see some players available onto the minigun and making their way to armory, going into the yellow stairs as well. Maybe it is going to be a filter push, considering the fact that they still have their ace up and running. But then again, the biggest problem is that Goyo shield, Goyo canister shield, I don't exactly know where they have been deployed. At least, I don't know if they are on the default hand spot, because if they are, they can be burning for 20 seconds, and that's exactly where they may suffer. The ace has already gone down, and guess what? The Scopus will simply change the robot into Talos or Colossus. Not sure which one it was, but it is gonna be a disadvantage for the defenders, because, I mean, attackers actually, they were losing the diffusers, but at least they were able to recover it. Apologies for that because of the Mamba, because a lot of things are happening at the same time. Now the Cade kind of playing with fire here, if you ask me, because didn't need to go for the peek onto the hatch, but at least still surviving. Lines are being opened up. No C4s available from any of. Sorry, it's not the Cade. It's actually the Goyo instead, able to retaliate with those C4s. But I do believe there are still some fire canisters available for any form of distribution. But the attackers looks like they are kind of walking around the park. The problem is there are some rabid dogs as well on the park, which shouldn't be there, but it is definitely a safety hazard. 2v2, as it is all up to the Ram now, as it was a 3v1. Sorry, 3v2. No diffuser in hand, no time in hand either, and now he's going to be caught off by the Warden, and the Warden is falling back to the objective and making sure the backups are going to be there, and it's going to be a trade from the side of Lamayan. In the end, the defenders kept themselves calm, even though when the odds were against them. Pannuhuone, nice attempt, but why are they playing solo?
And that is actually the same question I was going to bring up. Why did two of them push individually through the same door? I don't necessarily get it. I think because it was what, 40 seconds remaining when the first kill happened in that 3v2 situation when it became a 2v2, right? So realistically, you should have had the Ram already pushing the side hallway and maybe even a push from behind, right? You've got three operators versus two defenders who are holed up in the site. Realistically, you go for a two-sided push. Maybe three-sided might be stretching yourself too thin, but you go for a two-sided push. They can only either get one or two, and the other one's free to pick up the two kills, right? Or one or two kills, however many remain. So, again, a little bit of a breakdown of planning from the side of Pannuhuone, because they find themselves 1-4 down. Last round of the first half, which means right now, make your destiny, well, they are certainly looking strong, I'll tell you that much. They have won 2 rounds in a row after winning the first 2 rounds and then losing just one, which was round 3 to Pannuhuone. Now, when it comes to Lair, I'm not going to, make conjecture whether or not this map is attacker or defender-sided, because we said that, Skyscraper can be technically defender-sided, and then we know how that ended up, right? So we're not exactly going to do that right now. And trust me, folks, I wouldn't be making so many jokes about Skyscraper if we weren't mentally still stuck in Skyscraper. At least a third of my mind is still stuck in that map. I'll tell you that much. But round 6, last round of the first half, and right now Pannuhuone, all they need to do is focus on getting this round for themselves.
Nice shot.
Beautiful shot from Lambe. This is going to get one, and a big one at that too. That's your Goyo off the board. And the Nook already cloaked up and moving. He's going to take a bit of damage from an off angle that they weren't aware of, potentially speaking. That's the stairs going above. Shots fired. But yeah, he's just going to fall backwards. Oh, forwards, I should say. Closer to the site.
I guess they're kind of focusing on to take the horizontal control as much as they can, because once again, they're not even dedicating anybody to go for verticals, which is understandable because they know if they do so, they're going to be losing time. And looks like they're not losing time, but they're actually making sure that the opposition are losing bodies, as the knock is being an absolute knock to themselves. The mysterious Danish ghost, as they say. But now it looks like the attackers, they were on a equalization thanks to the Legion, and I believe it was the Sentry, but it is gonna be turned around by the Blitz, and now the defenders are kind of in a rough spot because somehow when it comes to this objective, they don't quite know where to start. But now the Valkyrie are really overzealous play, going for the flank. But if she can find something, that's gonna be huge. But instead, he will be found. It is all up to none other than the Azami in a 1v3. Kind of low on HP, but still needs to find the isolation. The biggest problem is going to be the Blitz, who can simply brute force this away. The Blitz is going to be tagged up a little bit, but still very much capable of fighting. And now the Blitz is just playing with its food, but it's going to be none other than the Maverick, who will steal the food away as if he's hungry as well, as if we're not. But it is going to be the attackers who will also do some friendship dances, as it seems, because, of course, there is taunts coming in back and forth. So they're just making sure that they're winning rounds, but at the same time, they're also winning the game of morale as MYD finally goes for the swipe swap. Question remains if MYD can take these attacks, because we know how this goes.
Oh, that we do. Oh, that we do. Pannuhuone right now, given that they are 2-4 down, going on the defense, they're going to need to win many, many rounds in a row. 4 rounds straight to go to series point, and that is a daunting ask of any particular team, I'll tell you that much. The bans are coming in, and we have once again the Clash and the Monty band, but on the other side, Mute and Ace are going to be taken off the board. So electrification still remains, mind you, and there we go. A timeout has also been taken by Make Your Destiny, and definitely a good time to take it as well, because again, the sides have swapped. It's the first round on the second half, so you're going to need to kind of figure out what your opponent is doing, right? So you need to take this minute here to just talk it out, figure out what's going on, and the moment you have that kind of plan formed between you and your teammates, well, guess what? That's going to be when MYD is able to potentially make even bigger plays. On the other side, Pannuhuone, well, the 5 players in the roster who are in the game right now, they are going to be talking between themselves once we get out of this timeout. And again, all you need to do is focus on these individual rounds, focus on each minute as it goes, and play to your strengths. We've seen a little bit of stumbling, a lot of stumbling, I would say, from Pannuhuone. So right now, they just need to take a quick breath and go from here with each kill, each body as its own.
We have to take it one at a time, of course. And I kind of feel like they will kind of focus on this as well, because the pause timer, they should know, okay, where do we feel the most of our weaknesses? This is where we struggle the most. So what if we can make it into our strength? And that's exactly how we can take it to the 3rd and 4th map. I mean, this is the 3rd map, actually, the 4th and 5th map. So this is where they'll have to make sure that their morals are at the best possible outcome. And there's actually no other way to say it. MYD, they are in the lead, and we know Pannuhuone was actually on the same boat on the second map, but they were able to make a comeback. And now MYD needs to make sure the comeback doesn't happen, because again, even with the lead of 2 rounds, your opposition has a lead of 2 maps. That's a way bigger equation than you can count. And for now, you'll have to make sure that every single action you take needs to be counted. And for now, they are going to be starting things off with an armory push, as it seems. They will be focusing on the player who's going to be playing behind the wall of what's it called? Operational. Minus approach for that. Operational, and then they're going to be going for any form of takes. And at the same time, I kind of believe they were expecting presence on C4 maybe, and there you have it. The bandit, not the bandit, I think it was the Ella, I think, who was available in the vicinity. Yes, she is in the side of this in the side of minigun. Dokibi kind of playing with fire here, but if she can catch the Ella off guard, that is going to be a huge one, considering the fact that both of these teams has dedicated Ella players and they can go nuts when they pop out. Ella knows exactly what's going to be happening here, but it is going to be the Scorpion, which will take a little bit more damage compared to the SMG-11. Well, aggressive takes are going to be coming in, but a good bait coming from the side of Rastin to cover his teammate. And now that's the Dokibi gone again. You don't have to take those gunfights head on. I understand you wanted to take the Ella off, but there's just way too many angles when it comes to that main door hallway, and you just couldn't take that. For now, the attackers, they'll have to go for a full-on mental reset to find their proper opening, but looks like the Lion's doing the exact same mistake his fallen teammate did.
Yeah, you don't want to beat that angle, right? That top-down angle from that main stairs is so hard to actually do much with. And on the other side, Envy will fall. There goes an R-check. And there you go. Just as you warned, just as we warned, they peaked that angle. They got taken off the board. It's all down to the Breacher duo of Thermite and Hibana, the classic duo at this point. Because, of course, we've had Hibana in the game for so long. But never mind, it's all up to Tilko, the last one standing. As Push Diamond comes around with a shotgun, says, hey, nice face you got there. Let me just reconfigure it for you. And now, oh my goodness, was that Nifsu trying to go for some style points right now. We saw that 360 there, buddy. You're not slick, but yeah, there you go. Just holding from the outside. Shots fired through the drone hole. That's going to give away Tilka's position. And you have the runouts coming in from pretty much everybody and from every single corner of the map. And guess what? It works. Nifsu gets the shot onto the final player. And that is finally going to be Pannuhuone taking their second round in a row, making it 3-4. They're still 1 round down, but 1 round is better than 3.
MYD couldn't quite find the opening there. At the same time, it kind of felt like they were not thinking like how this attack is gonna go down. I mean, they were able to take control of operational. That's amazing, but what's next? You do need the control of main draw. I understand, but instead, what if you go for R6 room, or should I say the toilet? As a matter of fact, sometimes if you can just open up some particular angles, you do narrow down the defenders to play some restrictive angles. They cannot be way too more over aggressive on particular areas, but sadly that was not very much applicable for MYD. That's still just one round, but then again, don't let that slip anyway necessary, because that one round can be against you after a couple of more rounds, at least two more rounds, because you're on the brink of equalization again, and Pannuhuone wants to take this victory for themselves and as quickly as possible as well, because they know if it goes to overtime, MYD will probably start them out as well. We have already seen map 2, but now we do have a complete roster swap from the attacking side, including a Deimos as well. I do appreciate the Ram over here because you do get the opportunity to go for verticals, but I kind of believe if they happen to have a fuse with maybe instead of the Grim, they could have had a bit more value, because think about it, you can destroy so much utility inside the objective. There are no form of Melusis or something, but what you do have is an Echo. Yeah, people may note out that there is an IQ available, but do you really want to be using your gadget while being vulnerable, while you're trying to plan on a late round? I don't think so, because you can use any other operator, or as a matter of fact, IQ as well to cover the planter. Instead, you're going to be looking for echo drones while someone else can hard pick you and take out your defender while you're trying to deny that echo drone, which could have been taken you out of the plant. These are the small factors you need to worry about. And on top of that, which I haven't even mentioned, there's the Tachanka, the Lord, the Savior, the God of the game is available. And the biggest problem is, again, Tachanka has 20 of those Shumika launchers. And I don't know if Rastan is using the ACOG scope. I believe he is, because I do see the SMG being available. Those are just factors that how much firepower and in literal fashion the defenders are playing upon. Not to mention the ACOG, the 3 ACOGs available they have as well. But for now, the attackers, they do seem like they have good chunk of map control as they are starting to go for the verticalities and starting to dive inside of. They probably will go for the dinghy side as well, but for now, they're kind of determined to see if there are any pulses, because they don't want to catch a C4, but it's gonna be a castle instead who's gonna be getting rid of ADM. The vertical operator is already down on the floor with 1 minute and 18 seconds left on the clock. It's kind of saddening here, Blackjack, because you have map control, but what's next?
That is the big question, isn't it? The Echo will fall on the other side. Not sure exactly what happened there. That could have been the IQ actually doing the dirty work. And that, of course, means those Echo drones are no longer in question. And now we have ourselves a little bit of a situation. Secondary hard bridge coming in, and that's going to be the little hallway, connector hallway that is broken wide open. The can opener put onto its place. And we have castle barricades. Guess what? They are not going to let you in that easily, my friend, as we have a little bit of a stalemate situation here. 4v4, and there we go. Castle's been targeted by Deimos. No. He's going to go out with a super shorty anyway. He's going to go down for his trouble. Lambie, a little bit over aggressive there with that play, but now you've got the vault in that's potentially going to be found. You've got the no, I'm not sure what you were thinking right there. Narchik will find Rastin, and they're losing bodies where they really don't need to. Shots fired, and that's Nifsu, taking one. Why? But Push Diamond goes down, and there you go. Nifsu will fall as well. Pannuhuone, I have questions about that entire play. You had an entire 4v4, and you chose to over-aggress and pick individual singular gunfights that led to you losing the round. What was genuinely the thought process there?
If it was an individual player, Blackjack, I would have understood. The worst part of it is every single one of them, maybe one or two being exceptions. The Tachanka did it, the Castle did it, and I believe the Smoke did it as well. Like, seriously, I understand that sometimes you really want to be aggressive, but you really want to keep the rounds for yourself at this moment. Yeah, you have 2 maps, but pressures anyways. push for the side of MYD though, as they now still get to keep the lead for themselves on their attacking side, and now they are going to be a little bit more flexible on this particular objective, because as I said, this is an objective where a single Ram presence can pretty much dismantle everything, but I think they have heard me. That's why they're going to be trying to change that, trying to challenge them a little bit more, in my opinion, because again, if you can take control of a shooting range, yeah, then you're free to take a control of the minigun side and whatnot, but there is a very high chance there will be players on operational, but as of now, that doesn't seem to be the main concern of the attackers, as they're opting to go Ying instead. So that is actually a good pick, considering they have noticed that their opposition are not running the Warden. And doesn't matter if this round goes in favor or not, that is the one way you can solidify and force your opposition to keep our dedicated operator to counter a particular character. It could have been it could have happened for a Glass as well, because these are just operators, which is already a red sign for the opposition that, hey, we're running these operators. What are you going to do about it? You better run a Warden, otherwise we will probably exploit that. For now, the attackers, they do start things off from the operational side. The wall will be opened up, and they should be able to take free control of that side, because I don't see any silhouettes except for some silhouettes inside of Maelstrom from the defensive side. But then again, if this is something they're going to be dedicating themselves on, this is going to be a little bit more difficult, because they don't quite have any dedicated hard breachers available. I don't even think if they have any soft breaching utilities whatsoever, but it's going to be able to get rid of Anarchic. Not sure exactly where that happened, but that is a Ying of the board. The potentiality you could have had with the Ying, even by deploying a Candela, I don't even know if she deployed one of them, so the Warden play may not even be in the books for the time being.
Meanwhile, Lambie is getting a little bit excited on that basement run out right there through the warehouse side. So gotta be careful about that. You don't want to overpeak yourself, and there you go. That's gonna be one of the Grish modes coming in. Will stun MYD MV, I should say, a little bit. Not a whole lot, but then again, the site is first floor bunks. All of this stuff on the top floor is just for the roamers to hold on to for themselves, right? And again, you have Legion, you have your Solus, a lot of operators who could really turn up the heat in this moment. But guess who is going to be doing that? It's going to be the Deimos, who sees the Legion, is going to give the call out that, hey, he's all the way around the long hallway by that exterior window potentially, or maybe even in our 6 room. All you got to do is get in there and take him out. But he's not the only one in there, and the drones will have revealed that by now. There we go. Rastin C4 is going to find one. That's ADM off the board. 1 down. They need just a couple more. Maybe is the question whether or not they'll be able to get him. More shots fired out this window right now. This Twitch is trying Lamine in a position of potentially being a bit of a nuisance, as Nick S is taking damage. Nifsu falls. That's 2, actually 1 down, I should say. And this is where we've seen Pannuhuone struggle. However, 25 seconds remain, and all they have to do is push for the site, and they're doing exactly that. You can see the Capitao rotating down below. He's got the Gon 6 in hand. He's already opened up a bit of the site, trying to get in here, but we have Rastin holding it down, and who's going to go down, actually. MV takes that kill, beautifully so. Lambe coming around the long side, might have something to say about this as he enters the shotgun. Not going to work, as Lamine finds Nikkei S. That's unfortunate, but never mind. The timer runs its course. At the end of the day, they didn't have the diffuser to go for the plant. Unfortunate there for MYD, as Pannuhuone will take one more round, making it 4-5. Not in their favor, but they are definitely inching ever so closer.
They're definitely getting closer there, but at the same time, MYD, I think it kind of slipped their minds to not have the diffuser with themselves, because they had full control of the objective. But yeah, now they're starting to slip out of their mind, and now this is something they'll have to worry about. A Deimos ban, definitely a target ban from the side of Pannuhuone, to make sure that they have a little bit more flexibility. Bandit, well, that is interesting to say the very least, to make sure that the opposition is going to be stuck with Arcade here. But then again, that's not something which may be that much beneficial, because a lot of players do be extremely content with the TCS G12 if they happen to run it, that is, except for the AUG A3. But it kind of feels like that at this point, MYD and Pannuhuone, they're just trying to dismantle the target. They're trying to dismantle the main picks of the opposition as much as they can, bit by bit and slowly but surely. It is going to be a top floor defense again, and somehow Pannuhuone, they're kind of letting go of operational as a whole, and still they're able to get away with it. I do not see a Jaeger this time. That is a question mark from my side, because Pannuhuone's hold onto the main stairs with a Jaeger was incredible, to say the very least. And truthfully, yeah, they're not having too much of a grenades coming in from the main door or anywhere, as a matter of fact, to contest the main stairs. So they are free to do so. But what if they encounter the same thing this time? Because now with the knock being available, I don't know if the knock has any grenades or something, but if she does, that's gonna be a problem for the attack defenders. But I guess they're feeling the confidence in their veins, and they're just trying to make sure that, okay, they're not using the utilities. What if we just go for our free picks? And that's not a bad thing from their side. They are feeling that. But MYD, again, when it comes to Rainbow Six Siege, you really gotta force your opposition to some particular operator sometimes, so that you have the solid grounds where they don't have the operators they need to fulfill a strategy. For example, as I said, if they could have found some form of value, even a flash, for example, onto the Ying, maybe the Ying would have been banned. Maybe they would have been stuck with a word in play, but because that's not gonna be in the play for now. Okay, that is a standoff and a half. Who's gonna find it? It's gonna be the Nokas. It's gonna be the Ella. This is gonna be too close for question. It's gonna be the Ella who's gonna find the ghost instead. I'm damn sure this is not a horror movie, but the person who was supposed to be the ghost in Phasmophobia is gonna be taken on instantaneously, and now it's all up to the defenders, sorry, the attackers, to recover the fallen teammates. Well, there's nothing they can. It's a 2v5 situation already. Finally able to find something, but what the hell just happened? They just fell like flies.
Keep us secured.
Good God.
That they did. But it's not over just yet, because the Blitz is still alive. And we've seen exactly what a Blitz can do. But never mind, his feet are seen. And there we go. Nisu will come around, take the kill. Happily so. Pannuhuone, once again, 2 more rounds to them, as after a great big battle, they have equalized. 5-5 is the scoreline here. And so far, they're on this second half. They are on the 3-1, as doing a quick count here, because they won round 7, they won round 9, and they won round 10. So they are now equalizing 5-5, moving into round number 11. And all things considered, I gotta say, MYD, that last attack, kind of felt like they threw caution to the wind and said, all right, you know what? To hell with it. We're going to just go in, and we'd like to see them stop us, right? Because most of those attackers, except for, I forget exactly who, one of them was playing on the other side of the map who got taken down early on. But after that, the rest of the attackers were kind of forcing the issue behind the Blitz, jumping in through the hallway window right outside of our 6 room, and well, we saw 2 of them fall after that, right? It was all down to the Dokkaebi and the Blitz. And after that, well, there was not much else to be done. Even Lamine, who was playing the Dokkaebi in that round, went down pretty quickly when the final push came. And it ultimately was all down to an Archek who, well, being the lone Blitz, couldn't do much in the crossfire that he found himself in. So with all that said, Pannuhuone now equalizing with a bit of momentum going their way. They're going to be looking to make this a 6-5, potentially push to round 12 with a match point, but we've seen this before. We've seen match point be denied in such beautiful fashion. So, which will it be? We'll have to find out as we move now into round number 11, and we've got a Blackbeard in play.
Blackbeard does start things off in a spectacular position, I have to admit it, because there's not much roamers, to be honest, on the very top floor as he makes his way down to the main lobby. And yeah, I do agree with you over there that it is going neck to neck, but when Pannuhuone recovers their momentum, they're just unstoppable. But for the time being, let's stay on the presence, let's stay on the game, as the attackers, I gotta admit, they have not burned too much time taking control of the top floor, and somehow there are not many players available. I think there are nobody available on the ground and the top floor. I believe they're kind of focusing on the objective as a whole and making sure that the opposition burns time and they don't lose body and they can just play post-plan. Not to mention, Postman is actually a much more distant dream because of the Tachanka and the Echo being available. But again, MYD, this is kind of good for them as they are able to keep themselves alive. Now, if they can storm themselves down a particular angle, as they did previously, keeping themselves alive, mind you, they should be on a flexible position. But it is still a factor which needs to be determined by the players themselves. How do they want to take this gunfights and the map control? We do see a good chunk of control onto filtration as it seems. Oh, never mind. It's actually outside of filtration. The smoke was there, but kind of overzealous from the side of the Capital. But fire damage will be there onto the Lord. Funny enough that he is also a person who does fire breathing technically, but still the smoke still available onto the filter stairs, the blue stairs. This is gonna be dangerous because he has not been cleared out. If you think if there's nobody, never mind. Then now they will know because the last toxic babe has also been tossed out, and now he's pretty much stuck in a corner. He's a fish in a barrel. The grenades are gonna be dropped in. The Tachanka is on the floor. Do not try to revive the Lord. He will be living in the heavens. But for now, the smoke, a wise decision to fall back. Now he will have to sacrifice his teammate, and now he will be a victim of how do I put it? I don't even know. A fire breathing thingy, whatever, but with the Echo being very much alive and using the drone to give away confirmation on the hatch, then it's gonna be still ample amount of information. But how do you play this? The attackers, now that they have control of filter, Blackjack, this should be doable from their end, but except for the fact that if they were to walk inside of the smoke's shotgun range, that's going to be really devastating.
Here's the hatch up. 1 down, 2 down. Nifsu and Lambe come around with beautiful kills of their own. The Blackbeard is not going to be... Actually, it's ADM to get one. Anashik to another. But never mind the timer. The timer, folks. The timer. They were not able to play the time to their advantage, despite the fact that they got the body count going their way. Despite everything they tried, MYD was just not fast enough. I love the fact that the smoke was able to get back into the hallway through filter, right? It's like, okay, yeah, he definitely thought about reviving Tachanka, but he said, you know what? I don't have time. I got to get in there. I got to reinforce it. And that wasted so much time because they needed that secondary heartbreak. They need to get in there. Now they know there's a smoke holding that with a shotgun. That puts doubt in your mind. On the other side, there was a cross on the hatch. So those two bodies, one of them had the diffuser. And the moment that the diffuser was down, you knew that the round was over because there was no way that MYD was going to be able to get all of those defenders in what, like 2-3 seconds that remained. So at the end of the day, MYD, their time management needs work, needs a lot of work, I will say. However, you know, they have still fought really hard to get as far as they have, despite the overall score line. And even then, it's a 6-5. It's the round of ones. Pannuhuone are series point right now. All they need to do is win one round and be done with this entire grand finals. But on the other side, MYD, they need this one round to push for yet another overtime.
Well, I'm really looking forward to the overtime actually because MYD is a team who really deserved it. But off-topic question, Blackjack. I just realized something. Last round, did the guy drop through the hatch with a diffuser?
Yeah.
Good God, never mind. That is something which you don't want to see here. Kind of unfortunate. I think he didn't have much time to rotate, but that should have been pre-planned. But anywho, it is Pannuhuone being very flexible here. They just have every single thing going in their favor. MYD, they have been the dominant force throughout the entire tournaments. Pannuhuone, this is their Cinderella story, and it looks like they are making sure that the glass shoe will be found as they will get to live happily ever after. For now, MYD, they gotta make sure that they become the stepmothers here, if you know what I mean. Of course, no pun intended. But for now, they'll have to keep themselves together. They have been able to keep their manpower alive. They were able to keep the refrag game in their favor as well. But the biggest problem here is none other than the time management. They fell short. They didn't have the diffuser. I think this is the second time we have seen that they were able to overrun the objective, but not have the diffuser in their hand. Like, okay, you have the objective, but how do you plan? How do you push it to the post plan? That's the main problem here, and that's exactly where they were faltering. And these cannot happen over and over again. Just like Vas said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting things to change. And I'm not gonna be using the bomb here because we know what Vas said right there. But for now, the walls are open. The objective seems to be okay for a commitment, but they still need to take some from vertical control because the mute is very much alive up there. The Kate is taking gunfights here inside the objective. Wait a second, he's the only player inside the objective, but finally will be shut down by the DMR of the Brava. Vertical angles being played by the smoke, and now he has confirmation there is one entry. I do believe there was one entry. The Solus trying to find the diffuser. I think he will be focusing to find the diffuser to go away for the overclock and give away the position. But for on the right side of the live, attackers, you have good control, but This vertical
Okay.
can be the demise of them, as they will not have any answer to this vertical. Legion playing with fire here, but still has the cover behind the pillar. Oh, God, will be taken out finally by the side of the Dokebi. Will take some damage to the toxic babes coming in, but now the problem is they cannot plant on default spots. They will have to find something unorthodox, and Smoke deploying a Barber on late game to make sure that he stays covered while the time is ticking down. He understands that the world belongs to him
25
along with the
seconds.
Melusi. Attackers, what are you gonna
Oh
do about
no.
it?
There we go. Lambe with the first kill. That's a big one, but the Thermite's going for the plant. He might actually be able to hold this down because he's got a cross from across the site. Never mind. If there's somebody above, they didn't clear this. 9 seconds remain. They gotta go for the plant right now, and it's gonna be shot by Lambe once again, and it's all gonna fall apart as the top floor hold comes in through the rafters, through the steel bars. It is going to be the 3-0 with the 7-5 victory for Pannuhuone, who will be your winners here at the EON League Season 4 Grand Finals.
Oh my goodness, the Cinderella story came in fashion, and it came with no flaws whatsoever. No map flaws from the side of Pannuhuone, and they are not taking any prisoners. This Finnish roster will make sure that they strong dominant, and they will hold on to their level rest. They will hold on to their motherland as well. MYD, really good run, but in the end, it's gonna be Pannuhuone who is gonna be able to take the revenge story from the previous match they had on a best of 3 series. It was a 2-1, and now Pannuhuone putting up a fight of 3-0 on a best of 5 series, even when at least to some extent on the last map, the tides were turned against them. Good God, they were even pushed to overtime, but even then, they were able to put themselves out of the hats, out of the gutter. Oh my God, go boy, oh boy.
Yeah, no, I totally understand right there. As I gotta say, credit where credit's due, Pannuhuone, they definitely gave us an absolutely amazing matchup overall here to fight against the side of Make Your Destiny. And MYD, sure, they may have lost it 0-3 at the end of the day, but you gotta realize the scorelines are way, way closer than the 0-3 will actually tell you, right? And I think I say this for almost every esports title that I cast, even in Rainbow Six, right? But the point here is that almost every round came down to a 2v3, 2v2, or 1v2, right? Or 1v something. And there was, again, the fact that we played 20 rounds of Skyscraper will never actually leave the factoid of this match. Yes, it was a 3-0 to Pannuhuone, but they had to really, really struggle for it. And that is exactly what we saw happen between these two teams. Pannuhuone ultimately will be your champions here, folks. And on the other side, the side of Make Your Destiny, well, they had a great run in the upper bracket, but upper bracket runs, well, sometimes they fail, sometimes they win. Today was not one of those days. With all that said, of course, both of us can only analyze things so far. Our voices are tired. So we're going to throw it over to our good old host, Aggressive, as he is brought back in, kicking and screaming. No, not really.
He almost fell asleep, by the way. I just woke him up, but yeah.
Hey, when it got that close to a 5-6 scoreline, I woke myself up being like, not this again. The trauma for map number 2 just started hitting me like a wrecking ball. But what really is the biggest surprise is what really happened towards the end. Pannuhuone just coming back alive. I was so worried when I saw them on that attack side that, oh boy, is this going to be that storyline once again where Pannuhuone are just not going to be able to do much? But Lair seemed to be their home ground, especially in that last round. You could really see the difference between both of these teams when it came down to the experience levels to play on this map. That vertical line of sight being played out by two players, Lambi and of course the Mute, was just so perfectly done. The SMG-11 able to find so much value. The Melusi as well, being able to deny the plan at the very last second, mind you, was just insanity to me. You could tell that Lair on that defensive side was their own home turf. And in a lot of ways, I could tell that MYD just had those jitters from that last map. What you lose after pushing so many goddamn overtimes, mentally you're not going to have that same level of synergy in your team. And I could tell that a lot of the fights that they were taking, it really just didn't feel like it was ever going to go in their way, because the communication lines, especially in those 2v2 situations or even in those 2v1s, just didn't really feel to be clear. And here in Lair, when communication is the name of the game, because the map is so ginormous, me and Jack always used to talk about this. Lair is one of those maps that if you don't know how to communicate well on, you're never going to be able to play it. And the members of MYD just fell into that trap to play Lair as that third map in a BO5 series when your lives are on the line for the entire tournament. It's no wonder that Pannuhuone, with the better mental, especially after winning that second map, just were able to win it.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think it just comes down to the fact that Pannuhuone had a better overall understanding of Lair, even though we had
True.
moments where we were definitely questioning them, right? Especially when it came to some of those attacking peaks. Like, I'm still thinking about how they pushed individually. One guy goes in that side door through filter. One guy goes and dies. Second guy saw him die. I'm gonna go in right there too. Dies.
And listen,
Then the
monkey
third
see,
one.
monkey do. That's the only thing that was going on through my head when I first saw that.
I'll tell you what. But hey, Make Your Destiny actually did something pretty similar as well towards the end of the game. So, it is what it is. It evens out at the end of the day, right? So, yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, it kind of felt like the defenders were the ones who owned the butcher shop, and the attackers were simply the sacrificial lambs as they were walking into the meat grinder, because it kind of became a trend, right? Every single time there is any person falling, nobody's like, oh, my teammate fell. What if I go with him? Because at least we'll be in heaven together. Somehow, this is not applicable for aggressive because he doesn't communicate with me after I moved to Europe. I see you there aggressive. But anyways,
Listen, I've been busy
why
with
can I
life,
not
okay?
get friends like that?
Hey,
Yeah, you were saying, yeah, what's your
hey.
excuse?
No,
Yeah,
no. Listen, whenever we are playing the game together, if you die, I follow with you and I die with you. You cannot say otherwise.
That's cute, actually, but at the same time, that cuteness needed to be a bit more in control for the players, unfortunately, because it kind of felt like when it came to the game, right? They just couldn't keep themselves calm when it comes to the late game. I mean, in the end, Rainbow Six Siege is a game where the late game executions are really common, especially in Pro League or the highest level of competition. But at the same time, you really gotta make sure that you have the advantages. Problem being, the defenders knew exactly where you're gonna be. For example, whether it be the default plan spots, whether it be the positionings you're gonna be taking, they were ready for it. And to some extent, it kind of feels like the Pannuhuone, as much as they focused on winning the game, or should I say on the roam work, their main focus on the game was to play the post plan in case it even goes to post plan. Because
So,
think about it, they played Echo, they played Tachanka, they were holding the vertical angles, and it was like, okay, you can have our players as skills, but guess what? We're gonna take the round from you. And in the end, that particular strategy really worked out perfect on the side of Pannuhuone, and that's exactly why they are sitting on a 3-0. Even though, as you said, Blackjack, that there are definitely rounds where they went really close, but they had the guts to keep themselves together, and they were able to pull themselves victorious, especially on the round of Skyscraper. On overtime, they were able to pull the attacking side, then they were able to take the defensive side as well. Good God, that was really nerve-wracking.
it's a
Yeah.
mental game, right? Especially when you consider that second map. Like, that second map pretty much defined this entire series. Whoever won that second map would be the ones to like carry that momentum forward for at least one more other map. And that's why MYD really needed to win that one out in particular. Those infinite overtimes that Chile just racked up and kind of ate you out mentally, and you could tell like all the members of MYD just were in that mental boom. There were a lot of rounds, especially that one particular round where the time just ran down to the very last second. There were still 3 players, or I believe 2 players alive from MYD, and they didn't really even go in for the engagement. I was so confused when I initially saw that, and I was like, okay, what's exactly happening here? In this instance, like, the stuff like this only happens when your team is just not on the same page, right? And this entire series just kind of built upon that, and those building blocks just kept on favoring the members of Pannuhuone because they were ready for pretty much anything that was being thrown at them. Any single position that they were trying to play, they always had a proper, I would say, proper duo setup going for themselves. Crossfires were well handled too. The trades were present, but as soon as anything went haywire for the side of MYD, they did well when it came down to map number 1 and map number 2, decently enough, I would say. But in map number 3, that same level of synergy just wasn't as present. Unless Pannuhuone did something really stupid, you can tell that MYD just didn't really have that much of leeway on how the game was meant to be played.
Yeah, no, absolutely
Yeah,
agreed on that part.
yeah,
And
yeah. There's actually no
ultimately,
other way. Yeah, you were saying. Please go on.
yeah, no, ultimately, I think it just came down to the fact that, as you said, the mental at the end of map number two, that was pretty much what completely, I think, killed the momentum, or at least some part of it for the
Yep,
side
true.
of Make Your Destiny, right? Because, again, when you play 20 grueling rounds only to then lose, right? Especially when you think about how that penultimate round went, round number 19, right? They flashed themselves. Pannuhuone's attack did, right? With the Wamai magnets that they didn't know were there, they flashed themselves and they still managed to eke out the round by pretty much by the skin of their teeth. So when that happened, I think that kind of sealed the fate for them that this is just not going to work, right? And it's easy for us to say in hindsight, but realistically looking at it, that's one of the turning points I would say. And then in this map, I think once we got into the second half and we had Pannuhuone take 2 rounds in a row, round number 9 and round number 10, especially with, I think, round number 10, where they decided to do like a 4-player rush through the R6 hallway window, right?
Mhm.
That completely fell apart. I think that was the other big turning point for them because after that, they just
True.
did not have anything to show for this last 2 rounds.
Well, sadly, that is true. But at the same time, there were actually a lot of oopsies from both of the sides. For example, we do remember how the Blitz got down by a ghostly force on the side of Rocket Hallway. I mean, it definitely wasn't his teammates' fault by any means, of course, but at the same time, he was able to pull himself back up. But these are just indications how high voltage these matches in general were. And in the long run, they able to keep themselves up and running was something which is really commendable. But in the end, I really hope on the side of Maker Destiny to make their destiny in the future. And they are indeed an amazing roster picked up by the side of MYD as they were RPT. RPT is back, they were called before. So I really hope we will get to see a lot more of them in the future, along with the side of Pannuhuone as well. And I really hope if they're not already in an organization, someone will definitely pick them up because they have proven their worth of it. But I don't think if there is anything else, ladies and gentlemen, so we don't quite have information on that. So we will try to wrap things up. So thanks a lot for having me back. Actually, I'll be talking about myself, and I'm gonna be giving the microphone to everybody else as well in case I do see the salute coming in. Sorry for the bait there, but from my side, it's a lot of. Should I say merci and kitos to the players or the viewers we have for having me here, Aggie and Blackjack. If you have any outros, I'm sorry for stealing the salute away from your side. If you want to take it, be my guest.
Well, no, not really. I don't have much else to say. Just big shout outs to production for making this possible. And of course, bringing me in for the grand finals. Definitely love this league and would love to cast more of it in the future or more EU matches just
Hey,
sort of in
season 5
general.
is going to be coming
But
soon.
oh, yeah, you can catch me on season 5. I'll be back. Absolutely. I know I just did finger guns. I know it's not 2006, but come on. I had to do it. Anyway, with all that said, thank you for having me, everybody. And I'm going to be passing it off to Aggressive. And we'll see you later. Aggressive, take us out.
Now we are here, ladies and gentlemen, to the very end stages for the EON League. It's been a journey. It's been a long couple of weeks for this entire league, and it's been building up to be the very best. Here in the weekends, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for stopping on by for all the action that we had in front of your screens for season number 4. And hey, season number 5 could be right around the corner if you guys are going to be supporting that one. But for now, that's all that we have for you for tonight. It's going to be your boy Aggressive with, of course, casters, my fellow casters, Blackjack and Crush said, signing on off. And we're going to be seeing you soon enough with a lot more R6 action. Good night and happy gaming, everyone.
Faint lights in the distance, the thin line that separates your shadows from my soul. As these walls begin to fold, head lost in the silence, cold stars illuminate the secrets on your tongue, and the poison in my